Oh, come on. We're
I'm not ready.
We're live, by the way. And
Let's go.
you don't get the power rankings until your reactions are visible and we're about to start talking.
True.
Right, 47 people
Welcome,
just got dinged.
welcome everybody to the Saber Slay podcast. It is fall 2021, the last season of 2021.
I have
And
a sweater.
it's episode 1, and you might notice there is no group. We are not a group 2. There is no group 1. There never was. That was a false lie.
We're
It did
the
not
group.
Group 1
exist.
never existed. It's a
Uh,
myth.
It's just us. It's just us. It's only good takes from here, I'm sure. Though,
have other goddesses dormitory on this
Yeah.
season.
and even the show we had a chance for that to happen with got pushed back to January. So
Which one?
World's End
Oh,
Harem.
World's End Harem.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Welcome everybody.
07 to World's End Harem.
If you don't know what Saber Slay is, we sit down and watch 12 shows. You heard me, 12 shows over the course of their airing run of the season. Which means right now every show we're watching has 3 episodes out, with the exception of one show which has 2 episodes out just because of its airing timeline. We watch them weekly. We've watched up through those shows for this first episode, and then at the end of every episode, we cast our votes to either save the show or slay it. And the show with the most slays gets the boot. If there's a tie, we send it to a Wheel of Doom and see where it goes, unless we decide a revote is desperately needed. But most of the time, we just say screw it, wheel it. And yeah, so we're gonna be talking about our 12 shows this season. And on top of that, it's gonna be the 4 of us with our opinions. Each of us has picked 3 shows. We're gonna be going in pick order that we did them this season, so we're not talking alphabetically. We're talking in the order we picked the shows. With the exception of we're always gonna go in the order of my show, Michael show, Dodge show, Mason show. And with that in mind, hi.
We'll adjust it as things get voted off too, because sometimes one of us might have a show to talk about.
And
also,
hi guys, I'm Sean.
Two of our shows have more than 3 episodes at least.
Yeah.
We only watched through 3 for both Arena, Vampire Cosmonaut, and Blue Period.
But yeah, I'm Sean. I am joined by...
Mason. I'm Mason. Hi.
The champ. The people's champ.
The people's champ.
Well, the only champ.
Completely undefeated.
That's
true. That is true.
I'm also joined by...
I mean, I exist. Hi, I'm Michael.
That's Michael.
But
I'm John over here.
Yeah, I've been here. I've been here long enough. Yeah, I don't need an introduction.
We're just chill. I'm just the top 2 participant. I'm like the last qualifier in.
You've been here long enough.
I've been here a full year now.
This is the beginning.
This is a full year. I think this is my first fall season, which signifies a full year, right? Or do we start in fall?
No, we started in fall. So you've made the loop.
I made a full year.
Yeah.
Somehow.
Because we started with Akudama Jujutsu Kaisen.
God, that was a good season.
Yeah.
It was a good season.
This is looking like it's gonna be a good season as well.
Let's not dwell too much. This is a long.
Before we dive into things, oh cool, that was the right one, the right try. Hell yeah. Very, very, very quickly, because I know we did a podcast last week, so it won't be too long. Things we're doing, things we're up to right now. I have started playing a new game called Inscription. It is a new card game-esque roguelike. I guess you could call it. It has inklings of Pony Island and stuff like that, where it fucks with you and it fucks with your computer in a way, and how it interacts. It does cool game breaking stuff in it. It's really neat.
Pony Island.
Yeah, it's really neat. I've also additionally watched a couple of episodes of some other stuff. Not as much as I would like, but a little bit more into the new season. I watched the first episode of a lot of things. So I watched the first episode of... Oh god, I'm trying to find them. Apparently none of them are on this page of anime. I watched the first episode of Hike Monogatari. That's gonna be a wild ride if I watch more of it. That's retelling a historical war through the eyes of this girl, and the idea is that one of her eyes lets her see the future. and this like shogun who winds up taking her in. His eyes show him the ghosts of the past.
Are they both dichromatic?
Yes, and it is.
Damn it.
It is a kind of a wild, surreal ride, and that one I think is going to be really good. So I'm excited to watch that.
Yeah, I saw like bits of that one. Like Sean had it on, and I was kind of just sitting there on my phone. That show looked absolutely fucking nuts.
I watched the first episode of Deep Insanity: The Lost Child, a show that I thought I was gonna pick, and then I watched its second trailer and went, "Oh no, this looks like generic anime trash." It is generic anime trash.
It do be
for
generic
sure.
anime trash.
You need to know this. The main character's name.
Fucking crazy.
Where is it? I gotta find it. This is very important. You don't understand.
I don't remember exactly what it was, but I do remember it was very good.
The main character's name is Shigure Daniel Kai. Shigure Daniel Kai. And
heard
the other
anime name trying to fit both the Western and Japanese audiences harder.
The good thing is that this show like spans the continent, so like people are from everywhere, but this man's Japanese, so his middle name being Daniel is really fucking weird. And another character who I greatly appreciate the name of is Lawrence Larry Jackson. It is an interesting ride, I'll give it that. Its monster design is neat. We have a screenshot to send you later of an absolutely terrible CG monster.
Oh, baby.
I don't know if I'll continue watching that show because
you won't.
I probably, given the amount of time I have, I probably won't. And I wanted to watch more of other stuff, but just did not get to do it. I know Michael briefly skimmed Tesla Note, so
I watched about 30 seconds of Tesla Note because I saw a clip on YouTube, and Tesla Note is in fact XARM 2.0.
Oh yeah.
If it's slightly better looking in terms of like movement, but not by much.
I can't believe we picked that show.
I can't believe anyone picks that show.
I'm really happy the Wheel picked that show.
No, we didn't pick it. What happened is that we went to Wheel and went.
We willingly put that on the wheel.
Can we gentlemen? We're gonna put XARM on.
No, we gentlemen XARM because something else got picked, and then it didn't air right, and so we had to put XARM on because we gentlemen XARM last pick.
Yeah.
It was either
Jack bad decision
XARM or we just gentleman XARM.
I think it was Pablo because he had the record breaking.
I think
Scar, and then another one.
Yeah, I think it was Dylan. Oh, beautiful. But I think that's mostly all I've been doing. I haven't been playing much outside of Inscription, and I haven't been watching much outside of more Cardfight Vanguard. But Michael can talk about that a bit. But that's it for me.
Cardfight Vanguard. It's been existing. Cardfight's been fun.
Can we talk about our favorite quote from Cardfight Vanguard?
You're going to anyway, so you might as well.
Which one? I don't know.
It's the Kai quote. So we get to an episode.
Are you talking about if you're gonna stop playing Vanguard because your parents died in a car crash, you shouldn't have played Vanguard in the first place?
Yeah. It's really good. It's really good for context. Two of the characters are talking to him, and they're like, we don't want her to leave the team. She's so important. And Kai looks at them and he goes, you do realize that if she's not in an emotional place where she should be playing Vanguard, she has the right to leave the team. And you're like, oh shit, Kai, what a good take. And then he immediately follows it up with that. And you're like, holy shit, dude. You are the most
good.
And that whole premise that relates to that car accident is Vanguard just takes like a very nice high upbeat and then just bam, hits you in the face like a truck with that episode.
I've been trying to close my mouth since you said that sentence, and I just couldn't do it until now.
Michael and I can't stop joking about it as we watch the show.
It's so good.
The show also, the character Kai is incredible because he's like he's like the I'm really good, the stoic, I don't like talking to people character, keeps to himself. So they do a lot of shots, especially recently where Michael and I are, where they'll pan to the characters and you'll hear them think something, and then it'll pan the Kai and it'll just be dead silence, and it'll sit on him for a couple of seconds.
Really
so it'll be like, we have to win this. I can't believe Aichi's doing so good, and it'll just hit Kai. It'll just be.
So Kai, the Kaiba character.
Yeah.
Yeah. He's also the one that's away shift with the main character. So yes, Kaiba.
Yeah, no,
Kai
but
is kind of cool.
I just, yeah, very similar energy to if you attack me, I will fall off this wall and die.
Not exactly, but yeah,
I'm just saying,
other
man.
than
Like
that,
when you guys said that, all I could think of was just my brain just doing this.
kind of.
God damn it.
Michael, do you want to talk about stuff you've been doing since we
I mean, other
segued
than
from
that,
Vanguard to you?
yeah,
Okay.
other things I've watched. I don't know if I finished it by last thing, but I finished Love Live Superstar. That was fun. I started after that. I started Love Live Nijisaki High School School Idol Club, whatever the fuck the full title is. That one's really fun. That was like that weird side one that happened like 2 years ago. That was like supposed to add all like give a world for a bunch of the characters from like the rhythm games. And that one has a fun little concept where the CG looks way too fucking good for a side thing, and all of the idols are solo idols, and that's its gimmick. But I am not lying when I say this has some of the best CG I've fucking seen in anime in a long time. Like it's just really good models, and they use just good motion tracking software. It's wild. It's a good time. Nijisaki's good. I mean, still caught up with Aquatope. I think that's about it for other things I've watched. I caught up reading MHA Vigilantes, and now I'm sad because I have to wait for that thing to start airing again. Because it's at a point where the mangaka just releases chapters when he gets to it. So sometimes you get like 2.5 week breaks between chapters. It's really fun as you're like reading, because like if you're doing it on Viz, you get to see like when each chapter was released, and it's like, oh, these were released like a week apart. Then as you hit chapter like 80, you start seeing bigger gaps start to form, and you're like, oh no, and it just keeps getting worse. Because originally they ended every chapter with new chapter coming on this day. Then for the past like 15 to 20, it just said coming soon.
Those hurt.
Hey, and then after I caught up with that, I started reading Spy X Family, and my god, is that the funniest fucking thing ever?
It's
So
so
good.
I always hated when I started reading whenever I was reading Kaguya, and you just see next chapter in 31 days, and you're just like, no,
But yeah,
fatality.
Spy X Family is very,
One Piece was really good
very
this week,
good.
though.
One Piece was very good this week. Everything that I currently read was very good this week.
yo, fucking
Oshi no
One
Koi
Piece
still slaps.
episode 1000 is in 5 weeks.
Oshi no Ko is a manga that I want to like almost just like wait till it's done to read. Like
Yeah.
it's so good at binging that like it hurts to read it week by week.
Yes.
Kaguya seems like it's going into the final arc.
Yeah,
Again, I'm reading my usual manga. Kaguya, Oshinoko, Talk About Kaguya, JJK, Rent a Girlfriend, and Komi. I like weekly. It's fun. Something to look
JJK
forward to.
feels like it. It's probably just me, but JJK feels like it's been a while since a chapter has come out, but it's probably just because I haven't been looking.
Yeah, it's been a week. I can tell you that much. But they're heading into another long arc. I've been playing Pokemon XD, because I feel like it. I've been getting back into Smash. Went to my first local in a while. Went 1-2. Wasn't bad. Pretty fun. It's a small local though, only like 20 people, but it's pretty fun.
How'd you
I'm
do?
not good.
1-2.
1-2.
Sorry,
Not great.
my brain doesn't
but
work.
it's still fun. Outside of that, not much going on. Yeah, I mean, just getting ready for test prep. Yomicon next week. Excited for those 4 days. It's gonna be fun. Figure out what the fuck the plan is.
Yeah.
And who's being sober what day.
Yeah. I have been super fucking busy with work. I worked like almost 50 hours last week.
That's a few.
Cool. And I have been doing that for the past like 3 weeks, so I haven't had like any time. But I have been playing 14 because I'm getting ready for Endwalker to come out, and goddamn, I'm so fucking excited for that.
Let's go.
Once again, have you heard of critically acclaimed MMORPG Final Fantasy 14? Yeah,
We're not doing this tonight.
Don't worry, I'm just doing that. I've been playing a lot of Magic recently because team. I'm on an esports team for that specifically. Um, that and Runeterra, which God, I have not played enough Runeterra recently. I've been on like a 3 week lull from that because that game's meta changes every day. And then been playing more League again recently. Trying to see if I can hit like Silver 2 by the end of the season. Doubtful,
Make it
but
to
we'll
gold, I believe.
see. I hope, but I just don't play the game enough. But I'm gonna try.
I'll buy a new account and boost you. That'll be $5.
Again, give me $5 this weekend. But yeah,
I'm kidding.
YomaCon is also coming up this weekend, and I'm very excited because I'm going to be at John's place.
Right around there,
Yeah,
specifically.
like right there.
Maybe in here sometimes when we're watching shit, but like probably like right there.
Yeah, like right
Hmm.
there ish. And then
Me and Sean watch anime right about there.
Yeah,
The
over
TV's like over
there.
there. Like
Over there.
the TV's over there, and sometimes I like plug in my like HDMI to the TV there.
Michael and I sleep back
computer's here.
there.
Yeah, the TV's right there. I could show you the TV if I didn't have a background on.
Yeah, we're gonna be sleeping like right out there. There's like some couches.
Yeah. But yeah, YomaCon's gonna be great. I had
Is that the new bit of
funny.
the season?
So I was. It's funny. I was actually like fully expecting to be a team lead this year, and working under my normal assistant department head. And then my department head at YomaCon messages me today, and he goes, "Hey, you want to be a team lead today, this weekend under Jennifer, right?" And I go, "Who the fuck is Jennifer?" And then, "Oh yeah, your department head is working for a different department, security poacher, but you're still team lead." I'm like,
Sag.
"Okay,
But also okay.
Rip.
unfortunate, but oh well. I'm still going to be drinking with her, so it's fine."
Thursday's gonna suck, dude.
Thursday is gonna suck because I have to
Drive in, then we have to
I
drive
have to
down and go get our badges, and then
I have to drive in. Well, I don't have to get my badge. My badge is just given to me from my department. But
listen here, you little shit. If I'm going down there to get my badge and we're carpooling, you're coming to get the
oh, I
badge
know,
too.
I know, I know, I understand. I told you that we were doing that. But yeah, this weekend is going to be me working a lot and then drinking the pain away, and it's gonna be fine. But yeah,
Yeah, I just get to enjoy YomaCon because I don't have to like have responsibility, but it costs me a lot more.
yeah,
Like it's actually not that bad. It's only like what was it like
Like,
$70 for the entire weekend,
$70 for a 4 day
which is
convention.
super good because I think like the last time I bought it was like $50 for like a day.
Yeah,
But
Okay.
but yeah,
Well,
YomaCon's fun. But,
with that all out of the way, you should know that there are going to be spoilers and harsh language. In addition to anything else we've talked about. Further here, we are going to be talking about the first 3 episodes too of these shows, and we're not going to hold back. In addition to that, we've all recently watched Keep Your Hands Off Izuken, and you should go check out our YouTube channel in the near future when that VOD goes up, because it will be going up soon. As you should check out all of our VODs. On top
Mason,
of that,
I'm gonna send you something. I just saw something on the page.
oh,
that's a spoiler. On top of that,
That's a special guest,
you should you should
right?
in the
Sorry,
in
go
the
ahead.
description of our YouTube channels, you should check out the links to Mia Walker's pages where she does art, sells art. You can commission art. She is the person who does our lovely logo, who has done it since we've started. It's the logo that gets swapped out every single season for a different color. Wonderful work, was amazing to work with. Should always check out her work. I always try to reference it
I
on the
agree.
first season. With that in mind, are you all ready?
You want the side note that was a recent drop that I found from the Omicron website? Because I
I
was curious.
saw it.
Wait a
Yeah,
second. Wait,
yeah.
I need to go
Calliope
check
Mori
something. 'Cause
and
she may have mentioned something like that
Yara
on her Twitter.
are guests at Yomicon, and that's exciting. That was announced today, by the way.
yeah, YomaCon is really weird since the whole thing, and they literally just started releasing guests like 2 days ago.
Well, guys, here it is.
Oh boy.
the power ranking.
Oh,
Now you may notice
boy.
that this is the list of shows we are watching. So I will read down my power ranking for the sake of it, just so you know what shows we're watching. We are watching Blue Period, Ranking of Kings, Sakugan, My Senpai is Annoying, Komi-san Can't Communicate, Takt OP Destiny, The Faraway Paladin, Arena of the Vampire Cosmonaut, Digimon Ghost Game, The World's Finest Assassin gets reincarnated in another world as an aristocrat, banished from the hero's party, I decided to live a quiet life in the countryside and build Divide Code Black. And we have a lot to talk about. If it is not clear from the facial expressions of people on this podcast as they...
I was a little worried, I'm going to be honest. When you guys said all your 5 was the exact same, I was really nervous. And I realized all of my 5 are basically still the exact same, except for Mason. Like...
Literally the only thing that changed was Comey, and it's as I said before, like 4 through 10 could be essentially any order, but I would probably change that more to like 5 through 10 now. Senpai is really good.
I will say my...
Dude, I almost put Senpai at 1. It's so fucking good.
My 1 to 4 are pretty locked in. With them
Same.
probably I would say they could shuffle, but honestly, there's a pretty big divide from 1 and 2 to my 3 and 4.
Yes.
And in that regard, 5's where it is, because I'll talk about why 5's at 5 for me personally. And then it's a pretty big jump from 5 to the rest of the content. I think probably maybe more than some people, and I guess we'll talk about it like Takt. And then, but I think it and Far Away are on a very similar level. And Arena's pretty up there. As for me, I will have to talk about why Ghost Game is so high on my list and why Assassin is not. But then Banished, Build, and Build Divide are both kind of in their own category for me. And that's about how mine breaks down.
Minus top 5 is pretty much top 5. Like, for me, it's a pretty steep... Not really that steep. I think Assassin's a lot better than I thought it would be. But, like, I feel like Assassin and Takt have a similar aspect of just, like, man, the show looks really pretty, but man, do I not care sometimes about it. And we'll get to that later. But, like, and I have reasons for, like, my top 5, but, like, for the most part, all of our top 5s are the same except for Mason, who just dropped Comey today. Which is fair because the recent episode was not the best episode of the first 3 by any means.
Like the only reason I
Chapter 8 was really good.
The reason I switched it was because Paladin's episode 3 versus Comey's episode 3 were leagues apart, I feel. So and I'm not saying that Comey is bad. Like, honestly, if I'm being fully honest, 1, 2, 3, 4 are in their own separate category. 5, 6, 7 are in their own separate category. 8, 9, 10 separate category. 11, 12 separate category.
Man, 11, 12 separate category is my favorite thing this week. Michael, do you want to explain yours at all or no?
I mean, I guess I would explain it more when we get to the shows.
Okay.
Because
That's fine.
Because my only funny take is Banished, and you have the exact same take. So
yeah, let's get into this then. So kicking it off, I get to kick us off this season. Which I think I got to kick us off last season too. For the brief amount of time that I was allowed to. Because battle game. Thankfully, yeah. I think it's safe to say, based on power ranking, that
I'm saying
that this one might be here for a while. Oops, that's not right. Okay. Oh, that's also gonna be a problem. We're gonna ignore the fact that Outlook's about to open my computer.
Oh yeah.
I caught it before it did. Perfect.
Oh damn.
So Blue Period follows our main character, Yatoro Yaguchi, and this is a I don't have it on here, but it's a seinen. Drama slice of life about I don't have a lot of the demographic or themes tags on here. I really should have. I might adjust this to put seinen on this genre tag because it's important in my opinion.
It really is.
You're following Yatoro Yaguchi as he kind of reevaluates his life and decides he's going to art school, or he's gonna damn well try. His family doesn't really have the money to send him to anything that isn't a public school that he can get a ride to. He's smart enough to do it, and he's someone who puts on an act to seem like he's more of a degenerate than he is because he just likes to mesh with certain people. I don't want to go into too much of episode 1 and 2. I'm more going to focus on episode 3 this week. We get some good development in our cast as they kind of have broken out from their high school art into their into this prep school. Or that it's not prep. What's it technically
It's
considered?
a cram school.
A cram.
No, they call it prep
Is it?
school.
Well, it's prep cram
it's
school.
art prep school.
Yeah, a prep cram school kind of scenario. And we get to meet a, in my opinion, extremely fun, colorful cast of characters at this prep school. You know, between Kawana, who's the girl whose family we know is really good at art, Hirosuke, who I love his dynamic with Yaguchi.
It's so good.
Just this man who wants nothing to do with him, and Yaguchi who just wants everything to do with everybody. We also get to meet Haruka Hashida, who is Braided Boy. Who is, I very much appreciate our cast calling him creepy when he deserves to be called creepy.
Yes.
And I enjoy this group very much that we have to engage with, and kind of our big reveal this episode is that our character Ryuji, she is technically a guy, but the show continues to use she/her pronouns for her, so I'm going to also keep doing that. But yeah, we get the reveal that technically speaking, sure. And we kind of get a little look into Ryuji's life and how it makes love life a little difficult, and the show kind of just decides it wants to stab you halfway through with that. And you just have to deal with that because that's what Blue Period does. There's a reason I have Blue Period as my number one. It's surreal. It hits. It covers a lot of things that as a creative myself I really resonate with, and also our main character is just a very well done main character, and a lot of the interactions in episode 1 and 2 do him wonders.
So I can tell you the exact reason why Blue Period is my number one. There's actually a few reasons.
It makes you cry.
For one, I cried at literally every episode of this show. Quite literally, that I've watched. I don't think there's a single show that has done that ever before for me. And part of that is due to the fact of I really, really resonate with the main character because that's literally how my life has gone. Is I was very good in high school. I was a very good student. And then I got to college and I realized I don't want to do this. I want to go into music and I want to do audio stuff. And that was my whole thing. So it really resonated with me on that. Also, I legitimately listened to only the opening of this show for quite literally a week straight.
True.
It was just on repeat on my Spotify from the day I watched episode 1 until the next Tuesday. So it was like 6 or 7 days that I was just listening to that, and it was wonderful. But yeah, the show is very, very good. Also, his art teacher that tells him that he might be able to do it is the fucking GOAT. She is just legitimately the best teacher ever. I love her so much.
Both these art teachers we've gotten are really good. They're also both different forms of mommies. One being a grandmother, the other being a tall mother.
The other one being mommy.
Like, legitimately, just all of the characters in the show are really well done. Yaguchi is just like, even when you're not getting his internal monologue, you really can tell exactly how he's feeling, and you feel the same way a lot of the time. Anything to do with Ryuji just kind of hurts, just because that's just a very, like, it's one of those hard-hitting topics, and it's definitely something that, like, oh, I feel bad for them, because, like, not everyone is as progressive and open about this stuff kind of thing, is especially in Japan as they are. And it's very unfortunate too, because like Yaguchi is, while still trying to be a good friend, doesn't really understand it and still keeps calling them him as opposed to their preferred pronouns. And it's just like, buddy, I know you're trying to be good, but just like there's like a very easy step to do this. But the show was legitimately wonderful the entire way through. I knew for a fact, like, unless something did, like another show on our list did something very, very good, because we had, like, by the time I watched all 3 episodes of this, we had only watched like 2 or 3 other shows, and I watched the first episode and I knew like this was going to be my number one almost immediately.
I will say an odd thing from this, since you brought it up, Mason. I have been watching this on Netflix, and it all depends on when we watch it. NordVPN shoutouts, if you know what I mean. But Blue Period is updating weekly on Netflix in schedule with our show. So I watched episode 3 on Netflix, and I can say in episode 3, after Yaguchi attempts to console Ryuji, he only refers to her as she, her pronouns. So
Yeah,
I
in our
wonder
version,
if
that was a
it,
thing. I was like,
I
huh.
wonder if it's a translation, thing, and like
Maybe.
with the captions. But I mean, it'll be we'll see if it changes or if it's something that's noticeable in different versions. Because I'll
Yeah.
continually be watching the Netflix version as it comes out, and
Fair.
that might just speak to adaptation, and depending on where you watch it. So,
Yeah,
that will be something that will be interesting to see.
it might also be a thing where because I don't think Japanese really has pronouns. Like you
It
just
really
say
doesn't.
names.
Yeah,
So it's more
mostly
just
just
how the
Well, they have
translator
like
wants to say there.
they have like the different like additives afterwards, like
Yeah, like
Mhm.
kun,
they have
shan,
honorifics, and I
etc.
they
think
have
The
honorifics.
honorifics generally
yeah,
have they're like gendered honorifics,
yeah,
similar to like how in German it's like der, dir, to das for words.
yeah. I don't remember what honorifics it has him using.
I think
Uh,
in the subs it does just usually say their name,
Yeah.
and occasionally did say she for most of the early episodes.
I think it's been Kun has been the honorific, which is generally for boys.
Yeah,
Um,
Kun is the male one, but I don't
is the male one.
remember.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure he's been referring to Ryuji as Ryuji Kun as opposed to Ryuji Chan.
Yeah.
But
But that's also good for close friends too, which
true.
they are. So
It's also something to keep an eye out for as we go to see how it adjusts or if
Japanese is
it
a funny
changes at all.
language.
Yeah.
language is hard. I'm not gonna pretend like I know how Japanese language works.
Yeah.
This show's good.
Show really good.
Teacher really, really, really good. I liked all the characters in like the first couple episodes. Like I liked Mori Senpai a lot. She was great. And getting him into art basically. Bless Mori Senpai. Don't
Mori's
be forgotten in this show,
adorable.
please. Thank you.
Or Senpai's
Um,
wonderful.
yeah, the Ryuji thing was really cool. I think it's a really good way to do it instead of just shoving it down your throat. Um, like a lot of things do in the 21st century. It was subtle. They didn't like lead into it at all. But it was a big like, oh fuck moment for me at least, because I just didn't have any inkling of it. I had like some suspicions just by the name, but
Yeah, same.
I hadn't even thought about it. I'll be honest. I
Yeah.
was just like, and I think it's because my brain was like, oh, it's clear that he knows her from them being children. So like my brain, I think actually just assumed Ryuji was a nickname, and I just went along with it. And I didn't even question it. A fun little story about this is that I was watching this episode, and the maid scene where she's dressed in the maid outfit comes on, and DJ walks out, a roommate and former podcastee, and he looks at me and he goes, "Oh, that's a dude." And I go, "No, no, it's not." And he had not seen or read any of Blue Period, and he went, "That voice is a guy." And funny enough, the voice actress is a woman, for Ryuji's character.
Yeah.
And then later, I got to that scene, and I had to fucking knock on his door and go, "How the fuck do you do this?" Because this man will throw out the most bullshit, like, just statements with no background knowledge for something and get shit
Yeah.
right.
Because
I mean, I
that's
think
DJ's trick is to
I think-
ignore any amount of background knowledge because then hints make more sense because you don't have
I
anything
think there was
stopping your
subtleties
hints.
to it, and like you realize it a lot
Yeah.
once they do the big reveal. Of course, you're like, oh yeah, it makes a lot of sense now with the name
Yeah.
and like the honorifics
sure
and
the
like how they address each other. And
I'm sure the voice does have some masculine tint to it at times because this voice actress has done male characters before. She's also done a lot of female characters. She's a very well-renowned voice actress. Um, But I mean, for me, I was like, damn, I hate him. But I loved this third episode. It was just incredible in my opinion.
Yep. It's hard to remember because I watched this like 2 weeks ago. It feels like.
The
But
art's really
I'm
good
just
in
looking
the
through some of my
show.
notes. Shout out to the art teacher for literally just going to one of the students and be like, "Yeah, draw titties. You fucking won't." She was great.
Love her so much.
Like episode 2, I just have in all caps is literally me when I was in drawing 1 in my senior year of my first degree in college. For people, I mentioned this before, I think on the podcast, but I took one drawing class in college, and holy fuck, drawing is hard. Where it's just like you're just like back is killing you from just drawing a still life for like 6 hours because you procrastinated on it, and like you're just sitting there in the dark with like a desk light like this one, and just sitting there and drawing like the makeshift stiff I did to draw this thing. I would sit on, I have a love seat in my room, and I would sit on that, prop up my drawing board on my chair, like this same desk chair. Actually, no, it was a different one at the time, but like my desk chair had it like propped up and be drawing a still life that's propped up on one of my dressers. Using this board for like 8 hours, just like leaned over, and it was awful, but it was great. And I thought I did a good job. And then you look at, and then the same thing happens where it's like, I feel like this looks pretty good for me. And then you compare it to everyone else's, and you're like, holy fuck, I suck. And that was basically my entire life in drawing 1. But yeah,
There's a lot
I think it was
things.
interesting. It's interesting to like say like Mori Senpai being like a specialist basically, and showing that
Mhm.
like, yeah, people in art are going to specialize in things. You're not going to be a jack of all trades generally.
Yeah.
And that's what we're kind of getting into with episode 3 is like you're gonna have to pick something to focus on if you want to have a chance. Make your portfolio around that very good. At least that's what they're, hinting at. But yeah, it's just really good.
Yo.
Like a lot of really good characters. I write Kwana-san is the coolest character though, and she's got swagger for days. That's the last note I have, and I don't remember the context of it, but I think I agree with it still.
Shouts to my boy Vinny in chat relating to the drawing 101 experience. I think this show does a couple of things really incredible in terms of how it portrays the like pursuing art. The fact that the art teachers critique them to the level they are at, where he recognizes and he's like, I'm getting a lesser critique because I'm not as good as these people, and they like you get a critique equal to your level. Like the art teacher's not gonna go, damn, you fucking suck, kid who just started doing art 2 weeks ago.
Yeah.
It makes sense. It's very nice.
Yeah, it's almost like saying someone who just started a thing that they're absolutely garbage at it will make them not want to do it anymore.
Yeah.
Yes.
And the other scene from episode 2 that like was when he has to take the career planning home to his parents, and he doesn't know how to like tell them he wants to do art, and his mom walks in when he's asleep, finds it, and is like, we'll have to talk about that. And then she walks in again, and she sees his art, and she's like, okay, so maybe he's trying. And then we actually have the conversation, and the conversation he has with his mom is
fucking cried. I cried so hard watching.
That was really good.
It show's so fucking. It show's really good.
It's wonderful to have a show at the start of the podcast where we could go, yeah, we all love this show, cool. We can talk more about it later.
This show good. Show very good.
Show very good.
And heads up, our first 4 shows, because they are all of our first picks, are generally gonna be more on a positive note. And I think that's
except for the next
no,
one.
I
apparently.
think it's even true for yours, in my opinion. But I might have it. I think you and I have it the highest of anyone, Michael.
Yes, we do.
Or do we want to move on? Are we cool?
Yeah,
We're fine.
I think.
Okay, Michael. Let's talk Tact. OP Destiny.
Yeah, Tact OP.Destiny, which I think is supposed to be Tact Opus Destiny. Funny little show that comes from the minds of, not actually minds, I don't know, Studio Madhouse and Trigger, I think.
Mappa.
Mappa? Fuck. The other one with the M. I should have just looked at the stream. I realized that as I said it. But yeah, two studios known for making things look very pretty.
The show looks very pretty.
Show look very pretty. Show sound very good. This show has a problem this season where it's it's a pretty solid show. It does a lot of things really well. But it's in a season with some absolute fucking masterpieces, apparently. So its characters, while they aren't bad, seem very bland in comparison to some of our other characters.
They're very
Like Tact,
flat.
Tact is just kind of a dude who likes to play piano, who has some like weird stuff with his parents. Cause like his parents aren't there, and we know there's some
His dad
we
died.
learn
His dad died.
yeah
We know that.
yeah.
We don't know anything about his mom.
And the people he lives with, I think, are his siblings or something. I don't 100%.
They're
He lives
family friends.
he lives
Okay.
alone. They live elsewhere and are family friends.
Okay. But yeah, he has these two people he goes with, a girl named Anna, I think,
Mhm.
Yeah.
and then her younger sister, whatever, named Cosette. The rules of this world is that there are these monsters called
D2s.
D2s.
Mhm.
They don't like music. Music's not allowed. If they hear music, they go to kill it. And to fight that, they have a people called maestros, which are people who use things called music arts, which are just robot
People.
things. But it seems, as we learned in 3, it seems like they're not people. They're
Like
separate.
people imbued by like
Hey.
otherworldly or angelic power. It seems to
Yeah.
be the implication that you
And
undergo some kind of rite of passage or experimental trial to become one.
But yeah, you can tell from them being called maestros and music arts. They use music to fight the thing that doesn't like the music. Kind of, as in the maestro just kind of directs their music art to use their sword or gun or both to murder the D2s and make the D2s be very dead. Episode 2, we do a little flashback because episode 1 puts us like right in the middle of their journey. We learn, they're going to New York to get Cosette fixed because Cosette's broken. And we don't know what that means. We just know Cosette's broken. Episode 2 flashbacks to when Cosette becomes a music art, which ends up occurring because she dies, and Tact makes a pact with something to give up his arm so she can get life back. But in that same process, she becomes a music art connected to him. So anytime she goes into music art form, where she goes like super murder mode, he loses his right arm. And we learned in episode 3 that that's not normal. You shouldn't have to give up something to do that. And the fact that she became a music art after dying is also not normal. And the fact that she has -3 personality is not normal. Because her whole thing is that she's literally a robot in terms of personality.
Yo, but she likes sweets. Wait a minute, what is this character type that keeps popping up this season?
Yeah. Episode 2 kind of pulls the fucking gut punch because it's like, yeah, she's a really nice, cute person. She's great in episode 2, pre-death. Because they go, yeah, this is why she has no personality. She had personality before. Her and Tact were really good friends. And if she didn't die, they probably would have started going out, is what it starts to be building towards. Like, they do really like each other. And then it goes, nah, she's dead. Fuck you. And want to know who caused it? Them. They did it to themselves. They're the ones who decided to play piano here.
It's
and yeah, and
go ahead.
Also, and her name technically isn't Cosette when she becomes a music art. Her name is technically Destiny.
Destiny.
Yeah.
Symphony number 5.
Which is where the title of the show comes from. Tact, and his music art is the Opus Destiny. We meet a character in episode is Lenny, and his opus is the song Titan. Or his music art is Titan by I don't remember who, but we went over through. Yeah. Lenny's a fun little man. Titan's a great music art. They're really good. I can't wait for them to fucking die, because of course it's gonna happen. But yeah, because episode 1 we see them in the middle of their journey, and Lenny, when they're together in 3, goes, "We're gonna be with you until the end,
No,
or until we have reason to
he
leave."
says they're
So we're
gonna
be
leave
there
early.
until we have to split off.
Yeah,
until we
they're
have
gonna
to
leave
split off.
early.
We'll get you part of the way there, is what he said.
They're
Yeah,
pretty
and
far.
They're about halfway.
They're in California. They're gonna go to New
Baby.
York.
And the
basically, right?
implication makes it sound like before halfway, Lenny and Titan are leaving. So
Yeah.
I think they're fine.
And like where they ended up in this town felt like it was like an Oklahoma town.
From the way they showed the map, they were like pretty Midwest.
They were,
Yeah.
well,
They're
mid-US.
on Route 66.
They're on Route 66. They're like the town that they're in is supposedly in like New Mexico. Because
Okay, I
Oh,
thought they
they're
were a
like a
little
third of the
farther
way.
east.
Like my
Well,
brain's like
yeah.
the New Mexico, Arizona, Texas
Yeah,
area, like
yeah,
generally over there.
It's
so
Colorado.
when they show
Texas is way more south, but
the map,
Mhm.
they show that there's like a big section in the Great Plains that just
Yeah,
you
it doesn't.
cannot go to.
Yeah.
Michigan's safe.
And yeah, Michigan safe. And then
We hate
They're all in
music.
the water.
so they show the big section, and then there's like a little line through the middle, and then there's another section like Oklahoma or like Panhandle of Oklahoma and like Missouri area. Um, and from what it seemed like, they were on the southern edge of the big area, so it's probably like New Mexico, Colorado, where those and like Oklahoma meet. So they were in the desert too. So
Mhm.
it's I'm leaning towards New Mexico, like the northeastern end of New Mexico. And from what it was sounding like, Lenny and Titan were going like Idaho area,
Okay.
but
So I have this show high, decently higher than most, because this show's opening does something, and I give shows whose openings do this because it's not the opening itself, for sure. It's elements of the show too. This opening hurts me, because of how it visually structures how it structures the visuals of it, the way it interacts with Talked Destiny and Cosette as separate characters. Um, I really think this is gonna be an incredible show. I just think it's still warming up, and in my opinion, its biggest flaw is its first episode. As much as I really liked its first episode when I watched it, now that I have the first three, I just kind of wish we started with two and kept going. I don't see a reason why we've decided to start
yeah,
outside of two, because two's a perfectly wonderful opening episode anyway.
yes,
I feel like the
I
reason why is
I
because they try to do that thing where they give you a big like flashy showing to draw your attention in
Yes.
for the full episode, and then they
Yeah.
go back and do the flashback, so that way you stay for like episode 2.
I
Um,
understand that, but I think with the tone that this show sets up, episode 2 is a perfectly wonderful episode to start with.
it really
I
is.
I think shows need to stop doing this. This episode 1's really flashy. It'll be great. Because I think it really hurts them in the long run
Each
on a
boy.
week by week watching. Yeah, I don't want to talk about that. But I think as much as these characters I think do need more, I think they're there. I just think we need to tap into them. Because Anna in episode 3 and the interactions she has with Destiny in particular are incredible in my opinion. Her character is written really well for someone who just lost a sibling, and it has just been replaced by something that is not that person anymore. And all of the interactions I think are incredible. The scene that I have screenshotted here, where Destiny walks up and just goes, "Civilian, you have to move," it hurts in my opinion, and it should. And maybe it just hurts me more, and it doesn't have that impact for everyone else yet. I don't know. But I honestly do think Talked is in the position to stay up in the upper section of these shows for me.
Think for me, like I do really enjoy the music. The show is very pretty, but the plot is not very interesting at the moment to me, and the characters, like you said earlier, are very, very flat. Or not you, Sean, but
Yeah,
Michael.
Michael.
And like the only characters I've really enjoyed so far have been Anna, Lenny, and Titan.
I liked Cosette.
Because that was fine.
True. Man, what
True,
a.
I did like
I
Cosette.
wonder if that's
Not a
a
big
theme.
fan of
Like
Destiny,
Cosette.
but I liked Cosette.
I wonder if that's a theme this season of liking a female character.
Yeah, that's the issue. Is the plot isn't very interesting and the characters aren't very interesting. So all I'm really looking at, like all I'm invested in the show is
Music.
the music and the very cool, very flashy fight scenes, which I also noticed too. This is made by Mappa, which also made My Hero, and the bit where Cosette like does the speed
Super stab.
super speed super stab thing. They do this thing where it's like it does a quick frame pause almost where it flashes and then it shoots along. They use that exact same fucking animation in My Hero
all the damn time.
all the time. It's the thing that Deku does all the fucking time.
That is Ida as a character,
Yeah.
described as a scene. It's that Flash.
Shit,
Yeah.
you right.
It's
Remember when he was
Ida.
in My Hero? I remember when he was in My Hero.
I mean, he's back in the manga finally.
Sure.
Only took him like 50, 60, 80 chapters.
Yeah, don't worry. All of them are back in the manga, right, guys? They're gonna stay in the manga, right, guys? Stars and Stripes. All right, moving on.
Yeah, but it was like the show is fine. It's very mid right now. It's extremely. This is the middle of the pack right now.
Yeah, that's kind of how I'm feeling with it too. Is like I put it pretty low at 9, but as I've said, like the 6 through like 10 area is kind of like a smorgasbord of shows for me. Like definitely, like I think the order I have I wouldn't change much about right now because I feel like Tact like left me like feeling like it needs to do something more because right now it's like yes, it sounds really good. Yes, it looks really pretty. Yes, the action is very good, but it's the story itself doesn't really have any like anything there for me right now. It's just like these things exist, that thing exists. We need to get from point A to point B to fix this issue that happened. Fuck you for playing music, by the way. Not allowed. 2047 is a weird year to choose. But it makes sense. Because it's still like modern.
What we're
Like,
heading to.
I think it says 2047, so it's like 26 years from now. So it shouldn't be too much technology change, but also there'd be a lot more technology changed.
Yeah, I mean, just based on how technology has changed in the past 20 years, it's a lot of technology change.
And to be
that
talked
we're
about like
towards.
the exact like overarching plot of like what these things are, where it's like they're just rocks that fell to Earth, and then there is bad rocks that also fell to Earth, and those became monsters. The other ones are basically music arts,
There's
or how
definitely
they
more
create
to
music
it.
arts.
There's definitely more.
There's
to
more
it.
to it, but like that's the essential thing. It says powerful stones fell to Earth, and then black powerful stones fell to Earth and became the monsters.
I think there's
And
an
that's the TLDR.
implication. I think there's an implication, and if it's not implied yet, I think it's not too far off of a mark to say that this is also probably man-made and man-controlled to a decently large degree.
And we'll see.
So
I will say though that piano in episode 1 had some hella good carry on it. By the way,
yeah, I did.
they heard that through the entire fucking
Yeah,
town.
I know.
First off, that's not how that resonating works. Let me tell you what, those high notes wouldn't be heard for more than like 20 feet. But
So I will give it this. It does kind of make sense there, specifically only because of the building that it was in, because of how they have it set up, because it's in like like just pure scaffoldings with like um
it's just an
it-
open area.
it's an open area with a lot of scaffolding, so it'll reverberate off the metal a lot, which will actually make it louder. I will give them that
It
bit.
should not go as far as it does, but we're
Yeah,
you
it
know,
covered the
shouldn't.
entire like
some
tri-state area.
some disbelief, you know.
This is anime.
Also,
It's important for the scene.
I will say this: I have a theory on at least the episode 2 thing. So we see the great commander or whatever the fuck his name is, Sagan, and we also see another dude who's like also very high ranking in the Symphonica.
Yeah.
By the way, Symphonica is the group that outlawed music and is like also controlling the music arts. And Sagan seems like a fine guy. The dude who's with him very much does not.
I agree.
Um, I am getting the idea that that dude kind of set everything that happened in episode 2 up and has some way of controlling D2s, or at the very least, like made it so that like certain like patrols for the Symphonica were not around where they should have been, and that allowed for the town to get destroyed.
Did they use this like scene as like a reason to outlaw music afterwards or something? It
No.
wasn't quite clear.
No,
Like
so what happened was the reason why music was outlawed was they had the Symphonica before because they were using music arts, but from what I could tell, when Tack's dad died, that was the like inciting moment
Yeah,
for
that's right.
Sagan to outlaw
It
music.
seemed
but
like
it's
it
not really
wouldn't be...
outlawed because they just kind of play it whenever they want.
It seemed like
and no one cares.
Well, the idea is that you're not supposed to. Tact plays specifically in a garage.
Right.
And the idea is that when they're playing it there, it's because I believe they explained like there hasn't been D2's seen around there in like months.
And they had
They think
gotten,
it's safe. And they do also specifically say not to play the piano. They tell
Yeah.
her no.
and even
But then
though
she goes
she
to someone
says
else
she
and they
gets
go,
the
"Oh, it'll be
clearance, I'm
fine."
sure there's also a chance she really didn't get the clearance.
Yeah.
I think it's possible that his Detox dad may have also been in the Symphonica.
He
I
was.
also I also think it's super important to realize that all of our music cards have been female.
Yes.
So far, and the opening seems to imply it's going to stay the case. Which to me, opens the door that maybe Tax's mother was also a music cart, since we don't see her at all. And to me that gives an implication of these music carts, if they occur and like are often have to be people who are close to you, would be my assumption in most cases, that you have a strong connection to a degree. But also now they're getting more into the scientific of like how they're created, so now I'm not too sure about that.
I don't know about a lot of the logistics of this world yet, because there's a lot of
Yeah.
it still up
It
in the
needs
air.
a lot more done for sure. I can
Which is
agree with
why
that.
it's kind of low for me. Is like it feels like it's got a lot of the good stuff that's like, ah, yes, this is good to watch. But at the
We
same
just
time, whenever I
need
read
more.
it,
It
when I
hasn't
when I
done.
read the text, it isn't good to watch. If that makes sense, right? Like it looks really good. It's really pretty. The action's awesome. The music is banger. Like opening's good, and then it's like, where's that plot going?
I'm giving
Can't
it
quite tell yet.
a
It's
lot
like,
of leeway on my end because
I
I
am as
think
well.
it's really
don't get me
good.
wrong. I think it's good, but I do have things above it because I have things above it, right? Like
That's
a
fair.
lot of these things above it are shows that I went, oh, that's really sick, and I like where this is going, right? Or like, oh, that's really, oh, it's making me cry, or like, oh man, that was whew,
I
all the above.
I will say I have like my top 3 are my top 3 because I cried at them. So like, and then the ones that are above talked are I just find to be like either more interesting or they hooked me a bit better or they're doing what they're doing a lot better.
Mhm.
So
Michael, do you want to talk any more on it?
I mean, not really. I enjoy it. Yeah, I'm kind of in the same boat as Sean, where I'm giving it the benefit of the doubt that I think it's gonna do more, because it just, I don't know, like what it has done, and like I feel like it can do more. It just hasn't gotten to do it yet,
I agree.
and that's partially a thing with its episode 1 being a this happened, this will happen eventually.
Yeah. Okay. Dash, Comey time.
First thing I have to say about the show is, goddamn, they do it really good justice. Like, whenever you heard about Komi-san getting an anime adaptation, the first thought was, how are you going to translate this to anime when the main character doesn't fucking talk? And that's the whole gimmick. Because a lot of it is gag. It's basically a gag manga disguised as like a rom com. Is how I like to phrase it. Because a lot of the main hitting points of the show are the gags and the jokes that exist within it and the character interactions. But the first thought I had when watching this was, damn, this show looks really pretty. It looks really, really, really pretty. Like everything is so colorful and like vibrant. Um, and they have a good drastic like difference between like the like serious takes they have on it and then the more funny bits, which generally center around the main character Komi and how she is drawn. And I think they did a fantastic job of that. But yeah, so Komi-san is a story about Komi Shoko, who is a high school student in her first year, and Tadado, I think it's like Hitohoto.
Hirohito.
Either way, it's Tadano and Komi. And
Hito.
basically, it's their first day of their new year, and and like they introduce all the classmates and stuff, and it's really awkward and stuff. And then Komi-san is like treated as like this goddess amongst the class, both literally, we'll get to that, and figuratively, where she's just like, she doesn't talk. She's so elegant. She just puts up this air of perfection, right? And this whole school basically worships her. The second she comes in, and it's actually just because she can't communicate. She has terrible, terrible anxiety with communicating with people. And whenever she starts to try to talk to someone, she just freezes up and starts shaking vigorously. Um, and so eventually, Tanado, with his super secret skill of being able to read people pretty fucking well, basically just comes out and says, "Hey, you have issues talking to people, right?" And they have this really, really pretty scene in episode 1 where they're basically just trading messages on a chalkboard and talking back and forth through this chalkboard, and then they draw on the entire board and everything, and then it's like, it's really good.
Really cute.
And basically, they determine that Komi's entire goal is to make 100 friends, and Tanado decides, okay, 99 to go. Let's do this. And that's the whole plot of the story, is basically trying to get Komi to make 100 friends because she can't talk to people. Episode 2, I don't remember it as much. It kind of meshed together. I think we introduced the first friend,
Yeah,
who
it's not
after
Jimmy.
this, which is Najimi. Najimi is Najimi. Their gender is Najimi. And that's all I have to say about that character. But Najimi is the childhood friend of everybody. Has like 5 billion friends or something, and is
There's 5
really good
million,
at
but yeah.
communicating. They have superior. Every character in the show, by the way, has like like one trait that is them, right? And Najimi's is basically just being really, really good at communicating, is what it comes down to.
Najmi has a 23 in charisma.
And also being a fucking problem. Yeah, 23 in charisma and like a 2 in intelligence. But yeah, so basically the whole second episode is trying to get Najimi to be the friend and then use it to get more friends. And hilarity ensues. Eventually they get through it. And then Najimi ends up like in one of the guys sending Komi to like Buck Stanks or something like that. Whatever Starbucks parody they listed here.
Yeah.
It's like Stonk Bucks. To get a coffee, and then like hilarity ensues where she can't talk. So then the manager is just sitting there like, I have to know, and they get it completely wrong, but she's not gonna say no because she can't communicate, and then goes back anyways. And a lot of those interactions, and the reason why it's so funny, it's hard to describe without watching it, is basically because the artist does this thing where Komi has like 2 different like depictions. One is like the cool elegance where it's like very harsh features, very perfectly drawn, straight, like high definition, and then it has what we call bakomi, where it's just the eyes look just like this. I have a drawing. I can use this. Oh, focus like that.
It's also up
I
on
did
screen.
that myself. Yeah,
It's also
Yeah,
in the
it's the one that's on
screenshot.
it's also on
currently.
screen. I don't know that though, but basically the rounded eyes, where it's just her just awkwardness basically. That's Nekomi. There's a difference.
eyes
when
are
she gets
still
really
the
excited,
same.
and when she gets really excited, she gets the cat ears. It's cute.
The cat ears is so cute. It's so
But yeah,
fucking cute.
a lot of the show centers around her making friends through this. Episode 3, we get the third friend, who is Agiri.
Agari.
Yeah, she's a
Friend.
character. She's not the friend.
Dog.
She's the dog.
She go woof.
Her trait is probably just being super submissive and being super anxious over everything.
Yeah, her
But-
trait is that she is also bad at talking to people.
Yeah,
Slightly
which is
better than
which,
Comey.
which has a great scene where they're like, "Oh, that's pretty bad," and then it just flashes to Comey where it's like, "I relate to this person on an emotional level." But yeah, this show's really cute. I'm really excited with how they did it. It's my number 1 because it's like, as someone who's read this for 300 chapters, like seeing it adapted in a form that like is so good and so accurate to the actual manga, it's just chef's kiss. It's really well done, and I think that the first episode mainly is why I have it at like number 1, is because that episode is really, 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 really good.
It is.
Its first episode is amazing.
Komi Tanado is the best ship too. We also had the cell phones at the end of episode 3. That was adorable.
This
But-
is probably the best first episode of any show on this podcast and any show we've ever
I would
maybe have
agree.
watched. This is an incredible first episode. I don't know if one
Really?
can be
I
done
would
better.
agree. It's,
Um,
it, this first episode was legitimately just wonderful the entire way through. I also just cannot get over cute Comey. It's just so fucking cute.
Blue Period and Sakugan's episode, which we'll talk about Sakugan later,
We're also very good.
were also very good. I just think there is something unnaturally divine about Komi-san's first episode.
It's Komi. It's Komi. I'm telling you, she is a goddess.
The way they handle it is so incredibly well, and for me, like I don't even want to say that it's so good that the rest of it isn't, but like that's not the case. I'm not a big fan
not
of the 2 friends who we get in episodes 2 and 3, and I think we have a show that does the. I like Senpai more. I'll talk about Senpai
You know
when
what?
we get to. I
know
like
what?
Senpai more.
Fair.
It's
That
really
is
hard to
very
have both
fair.
of these shows in the same season. I can respect how good Komi is, which is why it's still where it's at on my list. It's still 5. For me, it however is the show comparatively to Senpai right now, at least, where Komi very much could shift. Other shows feel like they could still break above Komi if they really raised their shit. And right now I really like Senpai. And that's just where it is for me.
I do really enjoy Najimi quite a lot.
I'm like indifferent.
Najimi I enjoy just simply because I'm always a fan of the like troublemaker characters, I guess I would say.
The plot progression characters I put it as in the rom-com.
Yes. Yes. But also like Agari I liked at first, and then the faces
Yeah.
came in, and
Yeah.
then the faces happened.
Yeah, that's how it was too.
Also, I fucking love the bit that they have towards the end where they're trying to pick class
I forgot
president.
this.
They're trying to pick the class president, and they're like, "Hey, we're going to recommend Comey," and Comey is like shaking and is just like, "No, no, 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 no," in her head, and Tadano's like, "Fuck, I have to fix this. I'm gonna do it," and then Najimi is just like, "No, Comey can't be president. She just can't," and everyone's like, "What the fuck is wrong with you? What?
What do you
Why?
mean?
What do you mean?
Now you want to go?
Do you want to fucking die?" And Najmi goes, "Well, clearly she has to be higher than class president." And everyone's like, "Oh, yes, of course." So then they make like it's like making a tier maker list
It's a list name.
where it's legitimately like a list this long. God is up here where they put Comey, which Kami, haha. And then there's like 18 things below it, and then there's class president, and there is nothing in between there. And Tadano ends up getting made as class president,
And Najimi is vice president.
and Najmi is the vice president, and I believe they said Agari is going to be the secretary as well.
I have no idea.
It would make
No,
sense to me, but I
they-
don't think they said anything else past.
I don't know if they mentioned any other student council members, but
I thought they showed it,
no,
but I could be
it said
wrong.
Tanado wanted to just have a minor role, like a secretary. I think is what it
Oh,
said.
that's
Tadano
okay.
wanted to have a minor role, but then because he's the one with the most decent
Everyone else just
relationship with
went-
Comey.
I was feeling, yeah, he's kind of like Comey's pet. Let's make him the president, I guess.
Yeah.
Oh
This
yeah,
show's so fucking colorful.
I
Yeah,
really
Comey
like
good.
Tadano.
episode 1 really good. Yeah,
Tadano's a good
Tadano and
show.
Comey are really good, which is it's just part of why episode 1 is so good.
Yeah,
It
it's
focuses
just them.
solely on those two. I think Najimi's fine. I think Najimi's a fun personality to just have.
Yeah.
I really not a fan of Agari
Yeah, no, that's fair.
at all.
I hate. She's my least. She's probably like top 2 least favorite
Yeah.
Comey friends.
Look, if it's only
Yeah.
if it's only up from here, then that's good for Komi-san.
There's
You know,
only,
we had a
there's
fun little
only
bit when
one
Mason
other
was
person I
watching.
hate, and we've technically already met them, but we'll get there.
I have an
Yeah.
idea. Who
We had the fun bit with Mason when he paused in the first like Ahagao face, and we're like, no, just keep going. It
It's
gets
worse.
worse.
And it does.
And it does.
Sounds-
It's really good.
Luckily, this is a show where they have to get through 100 friends in 3 years. So a lot of these friends outside of these major 3 basically of like Komi, Tadano, and Najimi, because Najimi has like a list of people to have her get friends with, it starts to get like kind of like, okay, we're done with this friend, on to the next one kind of thing. And yes, they bring a lot of them back and forth, but like it does quickly move on from characters. So I will give a forewarning to anyone enjoying the show. Don't get too attached to the side characters. They'll come in and out, but expect them to move on quickly to the
Don't
next
get
one.
too attached.
Don't get too
They'll
attached.
die.
Comey comes in just like she starts
One
like
thing
one friend down.
One thing I also really enjoy about this show is it references a lot of other good anime, like a lot of anime.
Yo, the Mega
So,
Man
like,
reference in episode 1.
There's
The
a
Kaiji
Mega Man
reference in episode 1.
There was
The
a
Kaiji
Kaiji
reference.
reference. There was a JoJo reference at one point in episode 2.
Mhm.
There was I think we determined it was a Beyblade reference in episode 3.
Beyblade.
That does look like his glove for Beyblade.
It does.
Yeah.
Ash has the
So-
same gloves though, and he's just like the hat thing, you know. But
But I think
I mean, it could be either. They're probably based on each other. It's fucking
mean,
Beyblade.
generic
Pokemon.
shonen collectathon.
they're the same genre, so
Yep.
it still counts. But yeah, it's a very nice touch of just a lot of references.
Oh yeah, that doesn't stop.
Are we
Ever.
are we good?
There's a lot of good screen grabs too.
Oh yeah.
If you pay attention, there's a lot of good screen grabs in this show.
Okay.
Mason,
I'm done gushing about Comey.
Mason, are you ready?
Am I
Is next
Let's
Sakugan or
Talk
is
about
it
ranking of
Ranking.
kings.
ranking a king?
ranking?
Because he picked them at the same fucking time.
Yeah,
So
I
it was
couldn't
just
remember either.
which one
Basically,
was
they're
first.
exchangeable. Yeah.
So, Ranking of Kings is a show that hurts me in the best way possible. I cried at both episodes of this that we watched. The first episode is we meet our kind of cast of characters. We have Boji, the main character, who is the first prince of the kingdom of the I don't remember what they actually call the kingdom, but his father is
Yeah,
the
I don't know.
king
I think it's
Bo.
named after his father, I thought.
Yeah, so it's
No
yeah,
fucking no.
so it's the kingdom of Bo. Bo is his dad. Bo is a fucking giant. Quite like he is a massive man. Boji cannot talk and he can't hear. Um, so he can't really talk to people. He just kind of like he's always very like in public. He's always smiling and just kind of like unaware of things. Um, but something about Boji is that he can read lips, which a lot of people don't realize. So Boji, walking out one day, meets a thing called Kage. Kage is a member of the Shadow Clan, which is a family of assassins from a neighboring kingdom that got wiped out. Kage, being kind of a dick, sees that he's in rich clothes and just convinces Boji to give up his clothes for like a couple of days on end. And Boji starts walking back to the castle, gets made fun of by the entire populace, and also gets just trying to think of the good word. The only words I can think of are shat on by his stepmother, the current queen, who has a another son that is trying to also become the king. Um, and the queen essentially just makes fun of him, says that he's like worthless, and just full on ridicules him. And at one point, Boji like reacts to it and is and she goes, "Wait, can he hear me?" And Boji's swordmaster, who can sign, says, "No, he shouldn't be able to, but Boji can read lips."
At least from what we know, he can't.
Yeah,
Nobody knows he can actually understand people except for
yes,
Kage.
except for Kage. So it ends up where uh Daida, Bochi's stepbrother or half brother, excuse me, I believe,
Yeah.
is
Same dad,
train-
different mother.
yeah, is training to be a swordsman, training to be kingly, and is sparring with uh Boji's swordmaster, and Boji's swordmaster kind of like comes over him because he's really, really good at sword fighting. Um, Boji decides he's gonna like spar him, and Boji kind of just fucking flexes on him, and just turns out Boji has really good reflexes and just wins, but not like wins. Um, Boji is then told, "Hey, you're not fighting like a true king would. Actually, fucking fight him and trade blows with him." And Boji gets the shit beat out of him by his half brother. Um, Also, in this time, Kage gets spotted in the castle trying to steal more things and find Boji. Um, gets kind of messed up a bit by one of the captains of the guard, and ends up watching Boji fight with Daida, and realizes, I've been a shitty person. This kid is wonderful. I'm gonna stick with it. And finds Boji beaten, bruised, bandaged up in his room, and tells him this, and Boji starts crying. Um, but yeah, that's essentially most of what happened in ranking, and the show's wonderful. It's got a very interesting art style. It's like Ghibli-esque art style. Like definitely not like the same kind of Ghibli style, but very like kids movie style.
Yeah.
Um Also has like the Mob Psycho 100 style a little bit, specifically on Dada. Dada very much looks like a mob character. Um but the opening also fucking wonderful. I love this opening to death. Um, it's just very happy, very like I feel like this show is going to break me, and I'm going to love every second of it.
Yeah. Episode 2 breaks you even more because it goes into Kage's backstory.
Yeah, fuck.
And
I forgot that.
and it does one of those funny things where it introduces a character that you're not supposed to like. 'Cause he's like because Kage is a poor little shadow child thing blob that crawls along the ground. Um, and the only person who takes him in is this just asshole dude who abuses the fact that he can be small and do thievery things to have him get money that he away, and then he abuses him. But then at the end, um, uh, the guy ends up dying, and you feel fucking bad because it's managed to humanize him in the last second.
Well, because what happens is Kage, the dude, rats him out to the guards who have been looking for Kage, and Kage leaves and comes back the next morning trying to like get back with him, and the guy shoves him away and says, "No, fucking get out of here. I don't want you." Kage follows him everywhere he goes still, like from the shadows, and watches him get into a bar fight and get stabbed. And Kage like still cries over him because it's the only person in his life since his family got killed that has shown him any kindness whatsoever, even if it was for his own gains. And it hurts. It hurts a lot.
Did you also mention the actual like name of the show and the ranking of kings itself?
I did not. So
So
the
yeah,
actual
go ahead.
ranking. So the actual ranking of kings is how kingdoms among the entire country, like the entire world, are ranked based on how well they're doing. The three main characters, or the three main like conditions for this are how smoothly the kingdom is running, how strong the king himself is, and are there prominent knights in the service of said king. And Boji's main goal is to become the number one king. For reference, his father is a fucking giant. He is an absolute insane warrior. He is number 7 out of we don't even know how many. But
Yeah, dude
and like
literally came in, fought a whole entire horde of monsters on himself, saved the entire town, built the kingdom. He's number 7.
yes. And as far as we know, he has a pretty smooth running kingdom. He is very strong, and he does have quite a few prominent knights in his service. So
The idea is that he's old and sickly currently, because like one of
yeah,
the first things we see him do,
Well, we don't
like
know that
acting him now,
other
he
nations would know that
coughs up
though.
blood.
yeah,
I mean,
he,
I assume when they do the ranking, like
But yeah.
when the council comes together to rank the kings, I assume they have to learn everything about the kings, but I have no idea. We don't know yet. The shows might go into it eventually. Probably will. It's based on like a novel or something, or
yeah, I believe it's a love novel.
yeah, because the
Um,
book is Sakugan. That's the one that's just based on a fucking book.
yes. Also, something that really made me really happy in this show is seeing that sign language exists because we don't see that nearly enough. Um, like there are not many shows where the main character has a very significant disability and people just accept that, which to be fair, not many people do accept that in this show, but at the very least his swordmaster does, kind of. And his swordmaster is the only one really, as far as we can see, who uses sign language to communicate with Bochi. But no, like this is one of those shows where like I will recommend it to anyone that's wanting to watch anime. It just seems very nice to like, hey, this is a very good anime to start off with for one because it's not like super. It's not excessively Japanese, if you get my drift.
Yeah,
Like,
it's not super anime. Its art style is weirdly Western, but very still
yeah,
distinctly anime.
yes,
It's wild. This art style is really cool.
I love. That's the thing too for me is I've said it before and I'll say it again. I really love when animes do like a different style from the norm, and this show knocks it out of the park with its art style because it's very, for one, it's very fluid that I really like, but it's also got its like I don't know. I can't even explain it. I'm not good with this, but it's really cool. It looks really pretty.
The show looks really good. I love the aesthetic of it. Like it looks like it's not as polished. It's not as like fancy or like beautiful, I guess the other shows, but it's very like pleasing to look at in terms of like the aesthetics that it provides, right? It feels like it's dated. which I think adds to it. But like it's so polished that it feels like it's like a modern anime that is made to look older. If that makes sense
It is a
to
modern
me.
anime that looks like a 90s Ghibli movie.
Yes, it looks like Ghibli. That's a good point. Um, yeah. Um, Second Queen. I have a note in here that says the second queen is a high bitch. I'm very biased. Poise is pretty great. I hope we get to see Poise again grown up in the future.
Poise is
Because she's the
great.
one that saves Kage. I also have in my notes. This is just funny. I just like reading through some of the notes I write down. I don't know if this is intentional or not, but I wrote Mr. Shadow is a young shadow from the Shadow Clan of Assassins. I think that's just funny because it's stupid.
His name
Um,
Dubi Kage, which does
li-
directly translate the shadow.
Like everybody else, I popped off when Boji was bodying Didus' ass. So he
Oh
had to
god,
fight like a man.
Boji.
Didus just kind of pissed. He got his ass beat.
Yeah.
And yeah,
Bo-
I also put my notes that this is probably gonna be the show that hurts the most, like for sure. Like Blue Period's gonna hurt, and a lot of the other shows like Komi's gonna have some good moments. I don't know if it will this season, but Nosferatu's gonna be like a tear jerker sometimes. But like, man, you can tell this show is gonna fucking destroy you. And I don't like that. I haven't had this kind of ominous feeling in a while. Last time I had this feeling was Sing Yesterday for me, and that didn't do it for me. So I'm really hoping this one follows through.
I very much think this show is gonna break me. Thank you, Sean, for talking about this before it was coming out.
I said I
He was
think
gonna
this-
pick it if you
Someone
didn't.
was gonna take a
so-
chance. On
I
it.
was gonna
Someone
pick
take a
both
chance on
this
it.
and Sakugan if Mason didn't take them both from me. I was
Yeah.
gonna have the powerhouse selection that Mason does.
God, that would have been fucking
Dude, how
I
did
ridiculous.
did-
You had
do
all
it?
I
How
three.
did
did-
Mason do it? And
I-
he got Senpai too in the last
I
pick,
did
too.
say that I thought this,
Lucky
out of all
bastard.
the things we were talking up and all the things we were looking at, this was the show that was getting ignored, and that this is the show that's going to be the sleeper pick of the season for someone. And I stand by that. Did we talk? Sorry, because I was dealing with something else. Did we talk about the mirror at the end of episode 2?
Mirror?
No, we did not.
Yeah,
That's like the very end, right?
Data has a mirror in his room that has some kind of shadow-like thing in it.
Oh yeah.
That seems to be
Yes.
instructing him on how to become king. And that I think will be interesting. I like this. So I like this supporting sphere
Kill
of
him.
characters.
Do it.
I like the 4 kind of hands or guards of the kingdom and how each of them is very different. The one we haven't really engaged with at all because he's the queen's defender, and I don't really feel like he's going to matter. But the other 3, or Snake Charmer, and then the and then the trainer for Boji, and as well as we see the spearman, who is a fucking Chad.
No, isn't the spear guy the one connected to the queen?
I didn't think so. I thought.
Isn't his title the Queen's Spear?
Oh, he might be.
Yeah.
I thought
that's
I thought there was a different guy who was the.
There's also a shield dude that we haven't.
I
Really
thought
gotten
he
into.
was the one for the queen, but yeah, you
I
might be
don't
right.
remember.
The spear might be the one.
There's
Either
a lot
way,
of dudes.
Spearman, real pog, does not like our sword trainer for Boji, understandably, as it doesn't really seem like he has the best interests, and Kage believes the same. That he doesn't have the best interest for Boji, and it's pretty apparent from episode 1 that he doesn't.
Which sucks because like he's portrayed like he should have his good interests, and he just like kind of was like,
Yeah, he
"Eh."
knows how to sign. It feels like he should be someone you can trust. And when I first saw him, I was like, oh, we can trust him. And I was like,
He's
ooh,
the dad
maybe,
figure.
maybe not. Maybe not. And
And then he sees like the other kid like hold a sword. He's like, oh no, he's a warrior. Ah.
I mean, I think the real moment that's supposed to turn you on him is when Boji's father is like, I've given you the best swords master in the realm, and you still can't fight. And there's a clear this look of dissatisfaction on his sword master's face, where he's just like, I'm trying. And it's rough. This show's gonna hurt me. I know it's gonna. It's opening fucking spot.
It's so good.
Oh,
It's
God.
so
We need to talk about that every fucking opening of the season slaps or is at least good.
Yeah.
Not even
There are no
every like
bad
music in
songs.
this season's
God,
like
it's so good.
The music from 2021 has just skyrocketed.
every track from this this entire like 2021 like 4 seasons has been out.
But this show's ability to convey such sharp emotion on characters' faces during combat is incredible. Because
Yeah.
you wouldn't expect
Every-
it. You would look at this show's animation, you'd be like, "Wow, this is gonna be like we said, that childlike kind of style." And then because it's wit, and they can just do it. They just turn it into such smooth and like the scenes where the swords impact anything in this show are incredible. The force
Yeah.
You
behind the
fucking
hits.
feel Boji getting the kick shit
Yeah.
beat
it
Kick
shit
shit
kicked out of
beat
him. That
into him.
words.
You
My brain broke it.
when his
Like,
trainer
it-
nails those logs in half, you just
Yes.
like the impact is there, and the facial expressions on them as they fight, it's so well done.
it like watching the whole fight with Boji and Daida hurts to watch because for one you can feel just how fluid everything is, and as soon as Boji gets told no, actually fight him, it's painful to watch everything go down with that.
Yeah, you feel the same way Kage does in that scene, where he wants to jump out, and he's about to jump out, if not, like, the fact that there are arguably three characters watching who all feel the same compulsion, because I imagine the one guard who likes Boji and knows Boji, like, has skills and is talented,
Yes.
probably felt the same way of, like, why am I just watching this? And they all probably wanted to jump in and stop it, and it's just one of them was faster than the rest, thank the Lord, because Kage would have been fucking murdered on the spot.
Yes.
Things would have been very bad if Kage got found out there.
Mhm.
God, this show.
I hope it keeps
So
up.
really good.
I do too.
I
This
hope
this
so,
show
too.
is like really sitting as a contender for one. It
Mhm.
this Instant Blue period are like, damn.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think we can move on. I don't know.
So next show is
That's Sean's
Paladin.
second. Yeah,
Yeah,
this is Paladin.
let's get talking. Paladin
Sean's
follows.
fantasy show that he didn't realize was an isekai.
And can you blame me for not realizing this was an isekai? I don't think any of the trailers gave the implication that this show was an isekai.
I forget this is an isekai because it doesn't talk about it being an isekai like ever.
Yeah, we'll
Yeah.
we'll jump into that in a minute. This follows our main boy Will. This show's gonna fucking hurt me. Sorry. I looked at fucking my anime list. I'm using it for my character name references, and it had spoiled me on what Will's going to make his full name, and I hate it. I'll leave that be for when we get there in the actual show. But Will
Yeah, I
is
won't
It's
look
Will.
at it.
Will is raised by Mary, who's a mummy, Blood, who is a skeleton, and Gus or Augustus, who is a ghost.
Yeah.
He was someone who has been reincarnated into the body of a baby, and as such, the three of them raise him, and that's what our first three episodes are, or it's them raising him. We get some scenes of him, being tried by, Gus and Blood, and we have him find a dwarven enchanted spear that elongates like Goku's staff, and he peeks at Mary doing her ritual her prayers where he sees her on fire and he runs to try to help her because he's a kid, and he winds up burning his own hands, and while he's fine and he can use them, he's scarred, and it has him wrap his hands for most of it, and any scene where his hands aren't wrapped, it's visible that the scars are there. I think that's a really good scene for this show.
Yes.
And throughout episodes 1 and 2, Will's kind of given the, well, we don't want to, you're too young to know why things are the way they are yet. When you're old enough, we will tell you. And Gus tries to get him to throw his match against Blood, which still haven't really gotten the reason for that yet. But there is an underlining explanation that I think exists that you can piece together. And I'll talk about that in a minute. But episode 3 is Will coming of age, taking his fight with Blood in their sparring match. And after he loses to Blood, though by a couple of strange occurrences, uh, Blood winds up giving him the Demon Lord's sword, and they explain the Demon Lord and who he was, and how they failed to kill the Demon Lord in combat, and instead they wound up sealing him, and when they sealed him, the god of the undead, Stagnate, descended an echo or an avatar, and basically told them, hey, look, I will remove all of the demons from this town, as long as you pledge to become undead so that and stay here and guard the seal. And the three of them agree because it's the best deal to clean up the area of all the Demon Lord's minions, and it's the best they can do. And when Will finds this out, and and they explain that he was brought as a baby to be sacrificed by some demons to break the seal, and that they decided to keep him. And then at the end of episode 3, we get Stagnate returns and mentions that since there's no longer a connection or a direct like affinity tying them to where they are, and the implication is that that's Will, that Stagnate's here to take the souls of Blood, Mary, and Gus. But Gus isn't there until he is, as he's come to fight the echo of Stagnate. And I think it's really interesting because I hadn't really thought about it until recapping it, and the idea that Gus didn't want Will to win against Blood, because if Will won, Blood would feel like he has nothing left to teach him. So if Will threw, and really threw, Blood would feel like he had more reason to stay, so Stagnate wouldn't be able to come and take their souls. Because there would be nothing, there would still be something chaining Blood to stay. I think that's really interesting. I hadn't really given it the thought at the time. I think this show sets up its fantasy setting really well. I like it. The world building and lore we've gotten has been really interesting. The explanation of the gods, and kind of the area where Will is I think really engaging. I really like these three characters that are set up to build Will as a person. They really do feel like people. It sucks that, we're very much likely not going to have them after next episode, is how it feels. Very hard.
What is the best dad?
Yeah, or uncle, depending on how you want to view him. I know Michael thinks Blood is more of an more of the
Blood
fun
definitely, in
uncle.
my opinion, fits the drunkle, as we said earlier.
I like him as a dad too. I think it works, and Mary makes a very good mom, and Gus is a very good cranky like grandfather.
Grandpa.
Yeah,
He's the grandpa.
Yeah, I really like this show. I have it where it is just because I think I don't get the same feeling necessarily I do with Tact, and it's all about like that feeling in my gut, but I really like Paladin. Paladin, I think, has done a lot more visually and story-wise than Tact has to deserve to be where it is, and arguably could be put above Tact on my list if I wanted to. And I know that Mason agrees, considering what he's done with his list.
So up until watching episode 3, I had this one below Tact and Comey one above Tact. I flipped those because this last episode I really enjoyed it. And also I started thinking more about like how the world building had been done, and I really love the world building. Just everything to do with like how they have set up the pantheon of gods, like like how they set up how undead work. I really enjoy it. One thing I really enjoyed personally that kind of sold me on putting this above Tact was in episode 3 they talk about Stagnate and how like what his whole ideals are, and they mention that so he is considered an evil god because undead. Yeah, sure. But how they explain him, excuse me, is that he wants to create undead because undead in this world can't grow at all. They can't like get better at skills, anything like that. And he feels that if everything was undead, there would be no tragedy in the world and everything would be better,
Mhm.
which is a very like
You're not
virtuous
wrong.
it's a
Yeah.
very virtuous ideal of undead, and I really like that.
And to kind of talk about the concept with the gods, Gus gives a very good rundown about them in episode 2, where he talks to Will and he's like, the gods are good because of how things are shaped. Like the god of war is good right now because like he wages war and people fight for justice. But if war was waged the other way and people died horrible deaths, people would view him as a bad god, as an evil god.
That's something that I love in this show is that it's the whole history is decided by the winners idea, and also it's all just dependent on viewpoint for how people feel about like these concepts. It's really well done.
I also really like Will. From a
Will's
kid
just a great
growing
kid.
into a person, they've done a great job of making me go, yeah, I like this kid. He's smart. He both in look and in kind of, he's not quite as wild as the main character from Roka, but he looks like the main character from Roka. And I like him better than I like the main character from Roka, which is really funny. But he has personality, and I feel like he's really grown, and he has enough things that he's gonna be carrying with him throughout the show, where I'm ready to be hurt. when we talk about his scars and are reminded why he has
True.
them.
I
I
would
also
watch
think
this
the
show.
show's action looks good. Like it doesn't
Yes.
look bad. It's pretty clean. Its art style's interesting.
It feels very fantasy.
Yeah, absolutely.
Like in a very different way than like when we were talking about Saints feeling like a fantasy. This feels like a like action-oriented fantasy, if that makes sense. Like a war-torn fantasy. Whereas the other one was more like colorful. This one's more like
Saints
darker tones.
Saints
more
felt like early anime fantasy. This feels like
book adaptation fantasy.
I was gonna say early PlayStation fantasy.
That's
Yes.
fair.
So
This
feels like
straight
Dragon
up just
Quest.
be medieval.
something too that I really enjoy.
History book
the
fantasy.
the opening for this show makes me feel things. Like I hear this opening and I'm just like, I want to go on an adventure. It just feels so like I don't know, just that like
Feels like you're
that
a faraway
trill up
paladin.
at the very beginning of the opening. Just it feels very like I want to go explore like far off lands kind of feeling. It reminds me a lot of the Magi openings, which I have not watched Magi, but the Magi openings are very like adventure, like we're going off and we're doing a thing and it's going to be great. But yeah, I very much enjoy this show.
It's a good time. I wrote a lot about the show. I mean, a
Me
lot.
too.
You guys covered most of it. Yeah, like we have Mary, the daughter of Mater, Blood the World Girl, all that fun stuff. I like Will's development as a character a lot in like the first 2 episodes specifically. I like that like the enunciation and like the how you say spells affects them.
Yeah.
Yes.
We have another show
It's
that does something
Levio-
similar with
it's
that too.
Leviosa, not Leviosa. Is all I could think of. We learned that Gus is the most important thing to him. Gambling. Fair. The only thing I didn't like was episode 3, and we all know why. That one part in episode 3 where it's like, "Hey, can we not ejaculate to your surrogate mother, please? Thank you." But we'll gloss over that
Again,
because the rest of it was pretty
it's
good.
a wet dream scene that I think is just there to establish that he's hit puberty. I really don't think it's as bad as
I
some other
know.
things we've
Yeah.
had. I think like if you
I think peeping on mom changing is a little bit sus,
for reference,
but,
I think if you watch this and have a problem with that scene, but you watched Rent a Girlfriend and were like, yeah, he's just jacking the dude. That's just what guys do. Like I think there's
that's a little different
I
because
don't
that's not
think
his
so.
fucking mom.
But also like this is the only woman he's known.
I think, technically no. Technically it's an isekai.
But we've no recollection of his previous memories. We just know he knows words.
Yeah.
Hacks.
God.
Yeah. I mean, overall, this show's
He
pretty
said
good.
hacks.
Yeah.
I put it like what 7. I originally had it at like 9, but I think I swapped it with Tact.
Yeah.
Because I think the show does a lot more for its world building right now. I think like it does a lot of the similar things where like it looks pretty, it sounds pretty, it does good things, characters are good. But like specifically the characters are a little better in this show. And I think the actual like plot progression we're getting is really, really like it's a crescendo of important information we're getting, right? Like it's a lot of stacking and stuff before he goes on his hero's journey, basically.
And I'm excited to see what that's gonna look like.
Because what's gonna happen when the 3 guardians of the seal get fucking their souls taken and there's no one else guarding the seal? What's gonna happen with that?
It'll be interesting to see whether this show's main objective is him coming back to beat the Demon Lord, or whether it's him like picking a bone with Stagman.
Or is the High King hunting him for that sword? Because that sword basically made the High King invincible.
I also have some thoughts about the way they display the silhouette of the High King, in that it's very similar to his, just with yellow hair.
Yeah.
And not that I necessarily think that like the person who was reincarnated into this body is the High King. I more think it's likely that this body was like the vessel for it, and like he happened to take the vessel.
Got isekai'd into it instead.
Ukitawa.
So
Yeah.
one thing too that we didn't really like talk about too was they talked about how the High King was like he just kind of showed up one day and was like, hey, I'm here to take over this land. And he had the Overeater, which is the sword that he had, which is just a vampiric sword.
Mhm.
Steals the life essence of anything that he kills, and that's really broken when you consider his ability, which is anytime he loses blood or flesh, anything that drops just turns into a demon, which is really fucking broken.
But also the show's cleverness with going, yes, but how they combated that was that Mary could heal him, and as long as Mary could keep healing him, he couldn't spawn more things, and that's a really cool concept.
Kick him out one blow.
This fucking Demon King really is just a fucking Castlevania final boss.
Yes, he really is.
In design, in how he looks, and how he interacts
He
with
has a
this
second
party.
form.
Yeah.
Yeah, this show's real good though. I really like all the characters. I like how it's an isekai that makes me forget it's an isekai, because like a lot of people, I'm kind of tired of isekais just being the only fucking fantasy that gets made. It feels like. I mean, this season we do have Ranking of Kings, which is just pure fantasy, which is good.
And Built Divide, which is a fantasy technically. It's its only genre.
I mean, technically, if you want to consider sci-fi and fantasy the same thing, Sakuga. But yeah, it's really good. I like the characters a lot. I think they're all fun, except the fact that 3 of them probably aren't going to be with us by the end of next episode.
What?
I think Will's really fun. I enjoy how, as much as he is an isekai protagonist and he has like this extra knowledge, it's just kind of he started off a little bit smarter than a normal kid would. So he got like that 4 to 5 year head start in terms of knowledge. Which essentially what Jobless does. Jobless is very good. But yeah.
I want you to know, by the way, the thing I'm spoiled on is making me emotional, and I fucking hate that.
Oh boy.
Oh, fuck.
I assume it's one of those things where he's gonna like combine parts of their names or something. But yeah, good show.
I like this show. I really do. I'm happy I picked it. I looked at it and I went, "This looks like a fantasy show I'm gonna like," and it's at least a fantasy show I like. I think it has room to grow, and it's gonna have time to do it. We wanna kick it off to your next one, Michael?
Sure. Mine's Arena, right?
Yep, it's Arena. Is Arena consistently about the same?
Yeah, I think it's sitting generally around like 6, 7s, and 8s or something.
Peaks at 7, lowest it drops is 10 right now on Masons.
Oh.
Which we can
Rip.
talk. You talk about it.
Everyone else has it at 8. Or no, except for me, I have it 7. Okay. Yeah, 7s and 8s, and then the 10. Arena is a fun little story about a vampire fun little story about a vampire girl that exists during the space race that happened during like the Cold War, I believe, or right before it, but sometime around that general time. Yeah. And we are in the Russian portion of it, not the American. And the idea is that they're using a vampire as essentially another test subject to test whether they can send humans into space, because vampires are similar, but because they're not humans, they can use them like animals. Arena, it generally what the show has been going through up to this point is her training to do astronaut things with our boy Lev or something. I don't know.
Yep.
It's some Russian name.
No, his name's just Lev.
Yo, he's my boy from Haikyuu. Let's go. But yet, Lev is a previous candidate who got kicked out for punching one of superior officers for being a not good man or something. We don't actually know. We just know he beat the shit out of one of his superior officers and got demoted for it. And Arena is very wholesome and good and fun. Arena's great. We love her. They just have some fun dynamics between the two. We know she has a necklace that has them at something necklace the moon. Something like that. She wants to go to space because the necklace and the moon or something. The show's just really fun and cute. I really like our two main characters, the way they interact with each other. I like all the stuff they go through with like this specific version of vampires they're using, because they've explained like a lot of the rules, which is that vampires don't need to, like, general rules. Vampires don't need to drink blood. It's actually been kind of outlawed because blood's kind of disgusting. Vampires do not burn in sunlight. They just have aren't good with heat. And they do not taste. They do not have taste buds, but they still have textured feelers. So she really likes soda. Like, she tastes things through texture and scent. So lemon soda, very good. Heck yeah, we love Sprite in this household too. The show's just really fun and cute. I just enjoy it. I have like a smile on my face 90% of the time. Other than the parts when it's like kind of sad, which I haven't gotten like a ton of. We have like bits of her like backstory. I think
There's also the one researcher who's doing all the tests, and
she's not a good man. The bit where she starts fucking bleeding because the strap's too tight is a yikers.
Fuck that guy.
Yeah.
I also really like their bit when they're flying in the plane in episode 3. The
It's
moment she
so
opens her eyes,
Very
my
pretty.
brain just instinctually started playing I think it's called Test Drive. It's the song from How to Train Your Dragon.
yeah.
Fly me
But yeah,
to the moon.
It's just such a good bit. It's really pretty. This show's really fun. I like it a lot. It's a good time.
See, you started singing "Fly Me to the Moon," and I just finished Squid Game, and now that's all I can think of.
I don't like Anya. I'm not a fan of her character. And that's probably my biggest gripe with the show. Besides that, it's a very slow build. Nothing against that. It works really well for this show. I think Lev's, for how little we've gotten out of him, and because of the fact that he's a military character, I really like him, actually. I think they're doing him well. He's obviously, like, someone who actually has empathy, and that's his whole thing. But, like, the idea that he's short-tempered, that, like, he is a good candidate but has lost his chance, like, he is the ideally written character for this story, and it works really well. I don't really care too much for the political subterfuge going on between the Russians and maybe other Russians and the Americans. Like, I'm really not gonna give a fuck about any of that. But I mean, I like Arena. I like Lev. I like their interactions. I think this show has a charm to it, for sure.
Yeah, this show's really good. Slice of life simp here. Hi, checking in. Checks the boxes. We're good. It's cute. Characters are great. Irina's the best. I have this weird feeling that the show's gonna get like oddly sexual with the whole vampire bit very fast with the whole blood thing, and that kind of worries me. But as long as it's not as bad as Vanitas in that one scene, I think it'll be fine. Because I think like that is just part of the whole vampire shtick is somewhat the sexualization of drinking blood, and like she says, it's the greatest thing ever. But she hasn't done human blood; it was animal blood because it's barbaric. But is it a mating thing? Is it not? Who knows? Some of the naming schemes are funny. Like it's not Stalingrad, it's Songrad.
Yeah.
It's not. His name is Georgiev, the head of the Russians.
Yeah, but I do love N44 and Anya and Lev and that group of 3. They're great.
I'm not a big fan of Anya.
And I love how they're like talking about it like exactly how you'd expect them to, saying things like, the ICBM explosions were 500 casualties covered up, and that these are not failures, they are accidents or purges.
Yeah, that was one of the best quotes from this entire show.
Yeah.
Our motherland doesn't know failure, only accidents and purges.
As much as I don't care for the political subterfuge going on, they handle it well. It's done really well. Like the way they talk about the politics, I mean, it's exactly how it would be. So, or it would probably, or at least how we view it to be, right? With as much information as we have.
And then like that whole incident was blamed on the director, who also is the one who had these modernistic ideals, whereas we see this board, whereas the other one who's like, just kill her now, basically.
I also really like the implications of the dog, of the idea that they went, okay, we have to now use a vampire because we don't want the emotional attachment that comes with a thing that we view as
an
close
actual
to
animal.
human. We have attachments to dogs that are very like emotional for people. We got too emotionally attached to this fucking dog. It's time to do something that we aren't emotionally attached to, a vampire.
Yeah, that's why I have my notes too. Is
Thank
like
you.
dog dies, so now everyone treated like object instead. Five head.
But I think Lev and Arena's takes on the dog at the end of episode 1, 2. I don't remember where we have it, but I think that conversation was very interesting.
My hot take is my prediction for this show. This is my episode 1 prediction. Guy gets attached to girl, ends up going to space with girl, ends up dying in space. Irina live. Big sad end game. That's my hot take.
They
There's
wind up
only one pair.
they wind up
Ejector seat
sending
doesn't work. He's
they
gotta go
wind
down
up
with the
sending
ship.
her to space in the coffin, and he just swaps with her in the coffin, and they
The
don't
fucking
check.
coffin. The fucking coffin.
So that's something that I fucking lose my shit at every time we watch this show. Is in the opening. In the opening, there's a bit where it shows the spaceship goes up, and then it shoots the pod out of the spaceship, and then the pod shoots the coffin out, and then the coffin just yeets her out of the coffin. And it's so fucking funny every time I see it.
Do we talk about the plane thing? How like they had the pilot in the back of the plane? Is that a thing?
It is in some
I was talking to
planes.
Mason about this. Okay, I didn't know for sure because I thought that was just like an oversight. I'm like, I
No,
thought the pilot was like in front on these planes.
Some
a lot.
planes
Like
put
whenever
the
I see like
pirates-
the American
pilots in the
ones, you always
back.
see the pilots in the front. But
I
was like,
can
okay.
message Alex and get him on the exact plane model and have him tell me whether or not
I'm
it's
good.
accurate
Get
to
him in
to
here.
the Cold War time period. He will tell
I'll
me.
take your word for it.
I
just
should
was
have
like,
him watch this so he can critique
in all
it.
the American history I've seen of planes in World War II, it's always been in the front, and then like
Well,
the
this is
gunner is like
Russia,
below or in the bottom.
so-
But yeah, thank you. No, it's not. It's
it's
USZR.
It's the
UZSR.
Nitra.
It's Russia. United Soviet States
of Russia.
Russia?
Russia.
But Sundari Vampire Pog. That's all
They're
that's
called
my last
the
note on it.
Republic.
All caps.
The Federal Republic of Zernitra.
Zenitra.
In
Why
the-
did they make
the
it, so why is it the UZSR?
In the
Just
east,
because they couldn't.
in the East and United Kingdom of Arnak.
We need to let you know it's Russia. UZSR.
Yeah, it's Russia, but not exactly because there's vampires.
Yeah, they're in the East, and instead of saying America, they're the United Kingdom of Arnak
I mean,
in the West.
I'm just excited to watch some more Cosmonaut cuddling. You know, like it's gonna be cute.
Shouts to the
it's right-
show for
it's
using
right in
the
the middle
word
of 8 for me.
cosmonaut.
It's a fun
Cosmonaut,
word.
cool word.
Yeah.
Doesn't it just mean Russian space explorer, basically?
I think it just means
It's astronaut, but Russian.
it's. I think
Because
it's like
it's
technically a
cosmos.
difference
It's
between
basically
like
cosmos instead of astro.
yeah, which means it's like going. It's a difference between like going to stars versus space or something. I don't know.
It's just a different
Nomenclature
of astronaut
funny.
is what it is. I
Show's great.
guarantee it.
I like this show.
It's just cute.
Hey, Dodge.
Very good.
Hey.
Trying to talk about a show we're actually going to have a discussion about, considering about where it lies on everyone's lists. Banished.
Okay, so banished from the hero's party to go live in the countryside, I think is like the full title. Basically, this is the world where every human being has these idea of blessings, and once you hit like a puberty or like an age of like 10, depends on it varies. Basically God gives you like a skill that determines like part of your personality, how you can develop the certain like skills you can max and stuff, like in an RPG basically. Like if you pick a thief class, you're gonna have S with daggers, basically,
Hey,
is what it means.
You don't pick.
But you don't pick. God picks for you. Basically, like God is the player character in Fire Emblem determining what class you are in your classes, basically, and what skill order you get. And so we have our main character who was with the hero's party. Why did I not write his name right away? Red, thank you.
His actual
There's
name's
another name,
Gideon.
too. So Red, who was Gideon at the time, was traveling with the hero party with his sister, we don't know.
Sister.
I think it's sister, actual sister. Root T. I have to emphasize this because naming schemes, they like their R's in the show. But Root T is basically the hero of the world. And so now she's gonna travel with the hero's party. But he's like basically like a B rank hero in terms of his skills. Probably like more like A rank in terms of his overall, because he is like maxed out as to where he can get for all of his skills, because his blessing, did we say what his blessing was? I know I have it in here somewhere.
Isn't
We'll get
that
there.
he doesn't have a blessing? I thought that was like the whole thing.
I think I have it in here. I don't think he mentioned it though.
I really
But
thought
basically-
he didn't have one.
Because I thought like that's the reason why he gets kicked out of the party because he doesn't have anything. He doesn't have any special skills. He is just the peak of what a normal human
he's
can
essentially
do.
jack of all trades. Is what I've written down. I
Master
don't
of
think
none
that
can't
lists
break
his
through a
actual
magic
skill.
barrier without his magic funny sword.
But yeah, he can't like cast magic and stuff or get through magic barriers without his super powerful thunder sword that he got from like he inherited basically. And so he gets ousted by the mage, who I have his name. Don't worry, we'll get there. I will find
Ares.
it. Give me a second.
He's Ares.
Don't spoil it. I'm looking.
Too bad.
This is the
looking.
one show whose characters'
Done.
names I know really well, and I hate it.
I did, but
It's
it's been a
because
couple
they're all
days.
really. I know these three. or
Yeah.
four.
Okay. So in the heroes
they're
party,
short.
we have Rudy, obviously, who's the hero. We have Danan, who is the martial artist blessing. We have Theodora, who's a crusader. Our glasses boy, who's an asshole. Ares, the sage mage, and then the hero Ruti. And then now we have Tisei, who comes in episode 3. But we'll get there. There's also other characters we see in the opening and in flashbacks that aren't here now that split off from the party.
Yeah, there's that pink-haired girl with the spear we see in that
but-
one bit.
But the main thing we're focusing on is the countryside, right? We have the hero's side plot basically that we're getting to where they're starting to search for Red again. But Red, the first 2 episodes, is just trying to like establish a store in a small town. He'll go on some small things to get some money to try to build up a shop so he can build an apothecary.
Apothecary.
And so basically the main girl of the story comes into the picture because Ritz got it bad for Red because of the backstory they have in episode 2, I think, where basically like they help her kingdom, where she was the hero of that kingdom, basically fend off like the Demon King's army. And so essentially she had an opportunity to join the heroes party but really couldn't cope with death of people she's close to. And that was her biggest reason why she never joined a party, is because she couldn't deal with other people dying around her. And so eventually she comes to this town, recognizes Red, goes, "Hey, what's going on here? Why are you not, with the heroes party? Are they in town? Like, what's going on?" Finds out he's settled down. She's like, "Fuck it, I'll settle down. I'll bone this guy." And then we have a really cool episode. My favorite part was the episode where she basically comes in and is like, "Yeah, I'll come in and I'll work with you. I'll work with you and help build this apothecary." Because Red finally, he helps save this one family and eventually gets the carpenter to build his apothecary. And so she's like, "Yeah, I'll work for you at the apothecary. You can pay me this small wage in exchange for this stuff." And basically, over dinner, they decide, you don't have a bath in your house. We'll have to go get a bathtub tomorrow because I like to take baths. And he's like, "Okay, I guess she's gonna be bathing in my house." And I know she only had a single, or I know, what time is breakfast in the morning? 7 o'clock. Okay, yeah, okay. I'll have to get up early then. He's like, "Oh, I guess she's joining me for breakfast too." And then she goes, "And you only have a single bed up there." "Yeah, we'll have to go fix that. We'll go to, so and so's place tomorrow." He's like, "Are you moving in?" She's like, "Yeah, I'm moving in." "Okay, fuck it. I'm not arguing with this." And I love that. That scene was beautiful.
The best part of that whole scene
It
is
paused for like 15 seconds.
so what happens is there's music playing in the background, and he's like, "Oh, it sounds like you're moving in." She goes, "Yeah, I am." And it just cuts back to him, and the music cuts mid note, and it's so fucking funny just how they do that.
It was a really good scene.
Episode 2
But I
is
lo-
probably the most funny of the episodes.
I
for
love
me.
Rit and Red's dynamic together. I think they're great. Rit has the skill where she has like it's like the forest blessing or the guidance or something like that. I have it written down. It's just like my notes are an amalgamation because this show kind of goes all over with back and forward.
I found Red's
Um,
because I went back and checked. His is the guide, the blessing of the guide. So is the idea they kind of stress is that he's meant to guide the hero on the first chunk of the journey, is how Ares words it. But we haven't really gotten a real breakdown of what it does, to my knowledge.
Yeah.
I'll double check.
And so basically he's maxed out all his like other skills to like the max they can be outside of like his primary skill, which of course is like, very simplistic. And so
yeah, his blessing doesn't have any innate skills, but he has a lot of common skills, is the idea.
That's why he can be chef.
yeah, he can be chef. He can be apothecary boy. But I love his and Rit's time. I don't think my notes saved. I think that's what happened. This sucks. But I like how this world is essentially D&D homebrew. In a sense, like a lot of the classes are straight up out of D&D, like the Tavern Brawler. And I like that like they can have an effect mentally on you, like that you would in puberty normally with the development. like the divine blessings have a tendency to shift your mentality certain ways towards those skills, which kind of makes sense. It sucks, but it makes sense. But yeah, I think it's interesting to see that the heroes' parties like slowly breaking apart because Gideon or Red got taken out, like a cog getting like removed from the machine. No matter how small and insignificant it may be, it makes it function, and that's why they're having issues now where people are leaving and there's only 4 people, 5 with the addition of Tisei, who is the assassin class, who is a lolly, which we don't need.
She's just trying to be a Katsuki from
Whereas
Log Horizon.
every other female in this character couldn't be below a G cup prior to the scene, so there is
Yeah.
that. But I think the characters are good. I think they're cute. I don't think this shows anything special,
I agree.
but I don't think it's like terrible.
I like the systems of this show. I think the skill system's really, really neat. I don't like that the skill system has decided that no character is allowed to have any real in-depth personality. Because Rudy suffers from this, where it really feels like her skill as a hero has made her the blandest slice of white wall with no emotions possible.
Oh, she's just a murder. She's just a murder hobo walking
yeah.
around.
And I don't. As much as you may like their dynamic, I don't think Rit and Red are engaging. I like Red more as Gideon, and even then I don't really like him. Because he's really bland. He's just a guy. And I get that that's his thing. I really don't care for him. I really don't care for her. Neither of them are, like, striking or engaging compared to other male-female dynamics we have this season for me.
I think this season is part of why
Yeah.
you feel that way too.
I
This
also
season's really strong.
just think that I've seen this done before, and it was Saints, and it was better, and this is nowhere near that level. Like, I compare this to how I've been describing this is Saints. When I watched Saints, it was a slice of life in a fantasy show, in a fantasy genre. This is a fantasy show in a fantasy genre trying to be a slice of life, and it just doesn't work as well for me. Everything around it makes me feel like I should be engaged in a more fantasy-like show, and them being sat down in one place, living the life, just doesn't mesh with everything else this show gives me, in my opinion. And it's low for me, not the lowest. Definitely still not my favorite of the season for sure.
I sit in a very similar thing with Sean, where I do not like Red as a main character. He
hates
so
them much
fucking
more than I
boring.
do, though.
I just dislike Red. He is not fun. He is actually Kirito, but worse somehow. Like his personality is literally, I am good at doing things. And I don't particularly like Rit either. I think she's fine, but I think she's probably our weakest female lead in this entire season. Other than, I guess, technically Destiny. But as Cosette, I think Cosette was better. I liked what Cosette did. Also, this was the show Sean got me to change my opinion on, because this was originally number 12.
I will tell you what I told him when we get to Build Divide.
Okay.
But yeah, I rewatched the beginning of episode 3, and I'm like, okay.
Well, this is part of it.
I do like some of the stuff they do. Like through the bed scene, I thought that was fun. I liked what they did with that, because I like Red and the Goblin's little interactions, where he's like, yeah, I like people who pay full price for expensive things, not people who haggle to cut the
30
price down in
minutes.
half of cheap things. I'm like, okay, that was good. I enjoyed that. That was fun. Also, as I was rewatching, I realized, God, Rich just a big blob of fan service. You do not need a character's tits to be that big and that visible, especially not having her bra visible in 100% of shots, because her bra is visible in the titty window. That's what the black little florets are. It's just
Another issue I had with episode 3 in particular was that while I liked episode 3 and I liked a lot of what it gave me, and I walked out of watching episode 3 and had to go to Michael, you didn't like episode 3, you should watch it again because it has some decent stuff in it. For him and I, people who aren't as engaged in the Rit and Red dynamic, I think episode 3 does a lot to kind of make you engaged in the world and the rest of the characters. So I give it props for that. But I also dislike the scene where Red explains how the blessings work to the kids, because he's like, yeah, the kid's kind of being a bully because his blessing's gonna guide him to be a bully. His innate nature kind of also plays a role in that, but really it's gonna steer him. And then the young kid's like, oh, I have like the weapon master blessing, and I'm worried. I'm worried what it's gonna do to me. And Red's like, you've enough power to control it yourself. Red's like, you've enough power to control it yourself. Well, which one fucking is it? Does it have a large sway over your personality where it very much can change the way you go in life? Or do people with enough willpower have the ability to fight it? Because that doesn't seem like it's the case.
I think they emphasize it can, but it also gives an idea that it can be somewhat situational to like where you are, right? Like just like stylistically and how this character is like built and like just this character is like judged. He seems like he would have a tavern brawler trait, right? Like we don't know how innate these blessings actually are to their actual personalities or how much like their personalities growing up can drive that, right?
I mean, it
But
seemed entirely
it does give the
random,
idea that
though.
like it seemed like it is entirely random by the fact that like
The
it said that like it's
yeah.
not specific who can get what.
And the
But
examples they gave were like, you could be the head of a noble house and have the thief, and you would just start doing that.
but there is one reason why I think it's okay with that, and that's because lying to kids I think sometimes is the best option.
I'm
And
okay
whether or
with
not he is telling the
that.
truth or not, I know it's better for us to understand what it is or
Exactly.
isn't. But I think what he's saying isn't necessarily it's black or white in both ways. I think he's more so saying like, while this can influence your, you know, your development, you also have the final say in that, right?
Yeah.
In the end, like you are still you, and so it's like it's not just as black and white as like suddenly you develop your quirk and suddenly you're just evil, right? It might steer you towards more evil tendencies, which is what they say,
Yeah.
but it doesn't ultimately make you evil. What you choose ultimately what you choose, right?
I
At least
just
I
feel
think
like
that's what I got from it. Then again, I'm looking through it with a little bit more rose tinted glasses because I do enjoy the dynamic. I do enjoy this a little bit more than you guys, just in general.
Yeah.
And I'm biased because it's my show, but
you still don't have it the highest out of all of us, though.
no, I think it's low. It's like one above yours.
I know.
Like
Mason
I
has it the
I don't,
highest
I
out of
don't think
all
this
of
show
us.
is great, but like I think a lot of it is contributed to like the other shows we're watching and the other like things that are similar to this show are just better in a lot of the other shows, right? This show isn't terrible, but it's like mid in all of it does.
I think if the
It
show
doesn't do
came out
anything exceptional.
4 years ago, I would have really liked it.
True. I think the show came out a year ago, it would have been better on the list.
The issue is also every single aspect of this show, in my opinion, is being outdone by another show this season.
That's what I'm saying.
It is a less interesting fantasy world than any of our fantasies. I think its general rom-com bit isn't nearly as good as our like two really big rom-coms, and I think even Lev and Irina are more fun characters than Written Red. I mean, I do like the stuff we're getting with the hero party stuff for the 30 seconds each episode. We get that.
It's
Like,
definitely
I
the
do
thing.
like how they're all going, yeah, Ares, you're a fucking moron.
It's
And
the
I'm like,
thing
I
holding
agree.
me
I
here.
agree with that guy.
Fuck Ares. Fuck this guy.
The hero's party dynamic is the thing holding me here. If this was not here, I would not care for this.
I mean, it is the major plot point, right? Because we know like it's not just gonna be a chill countryside the entire time.
I hope if it turns
That's
around,
that's what
not,
that's what it's insinuating is that now they're gonna search for him and figure out what they're gonna do with him, right?
I hope.
But yeah,
Mason.
I don't think we'll get that far on the podcast. I'll be honest, but
I think Mason
I
has
still
the
enjoy it.
highest of us.
he
so-
does barely.
So, like I said when we started, I think pretty much everything from like 10 to 12 is, or like 8 to 10, excuse me, is in the same vein for like how I would rank them. They can kind of go wherever. I'm gonna be fully honest. A lot of the reason why it's as high as it is just for that fucking gag that they did in at the end of episode 2. Um, I fully acknowledge that like Rit is just fan service stock character, but I think it's fine enough. And like I'm not as hating on Gideon Red as y'all are. I think he's fine. I really like his like I like that he's just kind of a good boy.
I think it's okay
Oh.
that he's boring sometimes.
Yeah. I mean, the whole point of the show is it's supposed to be boring. That's like he was part of the main hero adventuring group that's going and trying to kill the demon lord, and then just kind of like, yeah, I'm good with that. I'm done. I just want to live a quiet life.
I don't do well with these characters. I like this character type. I just don't do well with. I don't know what it is because I didn't like Nasa and Tonikawa. I really didn't. I did not think he was engaging or enjoyable at all.
But you liked Sei and Saints, but she's just kind of boring.
I feel like she has
No,
character.
Sei has a
Kind.
personality.
So does
Gideon-
he.
I feel like she
He's a
shines a
good
lot
boy.
more than both of these characters do.
You guys liked
Gideon-
Blondie and Saints too.
Gideon the guy just wants to live a quiet life.
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe it's the collage of things that I don't like with it, but I mean, like I said, there's stuff holding it here still for me a bit that has me interested, but it's definitely towards the bottom for me. Mason, are you ready?
Yeah. So Sakugan.
So Sakugan.
So Sakugan. This show is a gut punch. Just Sakugan is a mech-exploration anime, kind of along the same lines as Gurren Lagann, where they are in an underground, and the main character, Memempu, is a 9-year-old girl who is very, very, very smart. She graduated college already.
Something most of us couldn't do.
Yeah, I haven't done that. And she has been seeing in her dreams it's a night sky with a tower, and she decides she wants to go find it. And in this in their like underground world, there are these people called markers who go and like explore out the caverns and kind of create routes between cities. And she wants to become one. Her father, Gagumber, uh, most likely used to be one. And he's like, no, don't do that. It's dangerous. I want you to be safe. Um, she gets a package one day that is addressed to her from a legendary marker named Urarop, which contains a map to what is most likely well, actually, it is. It's a map to the place that she's been seeing in her dreams because it comes attached with a picture of it. So she knows it's real and she knows it's out there. So she decides she wants to go. All of a sudden, kaiju from inside the cavern network want come like rampaging through the city trying to get this map. Uh, and we get a couple of scenes with some of their family friends, Linda and uh, Rufus. Or not Rufus. Rufus used to be his partner. I forget the dad's
Marcus?
name. Yeah, Marcus. That's the name.
With a K.
Yep. So Marcus is like the Gugumber counterpart. They've been friends for a long time. And he is a marker as well as Linda, who is also a marker, and Linda is his daughter. And we get a scene where they're like going out again after they make sure that Momentu and Gugumber are safe, and they're like, we're gonna go like help wrangle this thing and make sure everything's safe. And they jump off. We get a cute scene with them, and then suddenly they're dead. Just flash, gone, vaporized, and that's pretty much just the ending to episode 1. Just just out of nowhere, fucking murdering 2 characters that we had gotten pretty like, oh, these are gonna be like some of our adventuring party. And then episode 2 and 3 are all about like them, Gugumber and Momentu like getting out of the city that they're in, which is named Pinion, and just exploring more of the caverns. And it's very wonderful. Their dynamic is so well done. It's like a 9-year-old girl who's like starting to get some independence and just wants to like go explore and like adventure, and her father who is very much just wants to make sure his little girl is safe. And it's very It's very cute, it's very wholesome, and also it's going to hurt a lot. Um, but yeah, like the show has been very good. The action has been solid. Like the CG for the robots and the kaiju is not the greatest, but it's not bad by any stretch. Um, and just the like this whole like the world that they're in is really like lively. It's very pleasing to look at. It's very interesting. Um, I've just really enjoyed what I've seen of this show so far. Also, the opening is by Jam Project, and it's fucking sick.
And they killed Best Girl in the first episode. Those fuckers.
I wish we've talked about the idea of we've flooded around the idea of doing audio recordings of us reacting, or watching the shows, and there would have been no better moment than Dodge going,
Oh,
"I really
it's
like
so
her."
good.
No, I really like this kit as she gets fucking smited out of the sky. Oh my
Literally,
god.
like,
It literally cut me off
mid-sentence.
mid-sentence. I was
Mhm.
like,
Michael and I are
fucking
sitting here
kidding me?
already having seen the episode. Dodge goes, "She's gonna die," and then he goes,
She's
"I
gonna
like this
die, and
character,"
I'm gonna
not
hate this.
knowing that in that moment.
I think my other sense
That's
was
when
like,
he knew.
I know she's gonna die in this scene, but I like this kit as she gets fucking boom out of nowhere. Fucking, it goes out of her. It's like, yeah, Dad, I'll be with you. And then the bright light just gets super bright, and you're like, oh, I know where this goes. I've seen Gurren Lagann.
For what it's worth, Marcus had incredibly high death flags the entire episode, in
Oh,
my
yeah.
opinion, because
So did she.
I didn't think, I'll give this show credit, I did not
No.
think she had nearly as high of
The
death flags
fucking
as Marcus
frame I
did.
saw her getting in that mech with
Well,
him, I was like, oh,
At that
done.
point, yes, right? At that point, you know something bad's gonna happen. But for the rest of the episode, she seems like a character who's gonna stick around.
Mm-mm.
And
Mm-mm.
Marcus, even from the get-go with his
close.
conversations, he just really seems like I'm here to let you
Old
know
guy
how
next
to be a
deathbed
dad
advice.
before
Yep.
before I die, and you can be the dad I always knew how to be. Like,
Okay, he reminded me a lot of a character that is in a game that I have been playing recently, and I don't want to spoil it.
Tales of Arise character.
Yes, a Tales of Arise character.
I mean,
And I'm sure
he rings true of all of the JRPG style old mentor characters who you're like, oh, you're gonna
Before
die.
I go, you the realist hero grandparents were like, before we pass away, you need to find a family you want to protect.
Jujutsu Kaisen grandfather who's like, you need to know that you need to care about people.
People are
How
good.
you die is important. Bleh. Yeah.
Bleh.
No,
Bleh.
Sakugan was
Same thing.
shaping up to be up there with Blue Period in ranking, and it still is. Like, it's right under it. But it was shaking up to be up there with those shows where after I watched this, I went, that's a 10. That's a 10. That's a 10. And then episode 3 happened of Sakugan, and it's not that I think episode 3 is atrociously bad, but I do have a problem with episode 3 in that Gagamba is facing down a kaiju by the mech outside, and Memempu goes, now is my chance to go jump down and explore this crevice, leaving my dad at the fates of whatever will happen to him, because it's just the right time for me to go explore.
I just like that
and
a
it
lot.
seems very not that I don't think she would do something like leave her father to go explore, but that I don't think she would, after having lost someone important to her, decide she should abandon her father in that moment. If
Yes.
he had been like, you have to run, maybe, but he doesn't say that. He gives the inkling that she just needs to be safe, and like a way that she's not safe is out of his sight.
Or out of Big Tony.
I will say it makes up for this in the scene with her in the crate being swarmed by those fucking bugs. Because that's a powerful scene. That's really well done, and it closes out on a very good, interesting note of this new character who I know I'm gonna love to hate.
Yes.
And like I think it really does kind of upswing back at the end of the episode. But for me, I was like, damn, like I'm fine with how she's written, but this one thing I'm like is bothersome to me.
What's her driving force to literally leave all safety and her dad behind to just jump into a crevasse and probably get herself killed?
So I will say I'm going to kind of ignore that bit for a second.
Yeah.
So I am just a sucker for like parent-child movies and parent-child shows. and the bit where she's stuck in the crate with all of the insect kaiju swarming over it, like trying to get in, and he runs in going, "What the fuck? Where is my daughter?"
Where is my
Just-
misbehaving daughter who does not listen to me?
Yes, I I was pawing out super hard on that. I loved that so much.
Also, can we talk about the implications that this mech is set up so that one person can lock the other person out of the controls?
It
Why?
doesn't seem like that's supposed
What?
to be a
That's
thing.
not supposed to happen.
I-
That's just
She's
her
just
being a
smart
genius.
and
Yeah,
being
if she
active.
That's just her
adjusted
being
it,
a
what
genius.
the fuck?
Yeah.
Why? I like that. I hadn't considered that she's so good that she just did it herself. I did
Because it
not
seems
think
like when
about
she's
that.
undoing
Yeah,
it, there's a
no.
lot of lines of code that she
Yeah.
goes through to undo
That
the
makes a
lock.
lot more sense. But in the moment, I was like, why the fuck would you design
Yeah,
a mech
I was
like
also
this?
like, that's really stupid.
It's
Again,
funny.
Very
It's
bad
good.
idea.
Because
It-
it's good because we get the scene that when he's saving her, he's in her seat, just
He's all
squished.
scrunched up.
It's real good.
But yeah,
I
you guys
overall really
talking
like
about
this
the
show, though.
scene with the dad coming down reminded me a lot of some of like. 'Cause I recently watched a video on it. Into the Spider-Verse. All the bits Miles has with his dad,
Yeah.
like the after the Prowler incident when when he goes back, or I think it's after the Prowler stuff when he gets back in through his bedroom door and he just hugs his dad, and the bit with him and his dad talking between the door. I don't know. It clicks the same kind of things. It's just really good.
Same kind
really
of
good
serotonin
bits.
going through there. Sakugan's really good.
This
I don't
Sakugan,
have much
good
to
show.
say.
we
There's not much to talk about. Like once you talk
Yeah.
about it, like there's not much like missing from the show. It really throws everything right at you, and there's not much to like hypothesize. I cannot English tonight. There's not much to speculate about in this show because it just kind of throws everything at you right
Yeah.
away, and you kind of know where it's going.
I don't know if you
which
guys.
is fine.
I don't know if you guys.
The
are
show's
there
music
in-
slaps.
Oh yeah.
Yes.
Jazz is always top tier for OSTs.
The fighting.
Please
is
use
also
it
good.
more.
I don't know if we've
Um,
talked about this, but Mason, I don't remember who was in the call when Mason and I mentioned this, but this really is a love letter to sci-fi mechas.
It really is.
It takes a lot from a lot of things. It makes sense that this novel didn't get first place prize in the competition it was in because they didn't think it was original enough, but it also fucking sucks because this is really good.
Yeah. So
I mean, yeah, it got first place of the things that couldn't get first place because nothing was original enough. So it still got an anime adaptation.
Yeah.
It just didn't technically win because it didn't fit the criteria.
yeah. So like this, Sean and I noticed this pretty immediately, but this show is entirely just like, hey, any mech anime from the past like 20 years, we're going to reference it, and you're gonna fucking love it because there's a lot of references to like. There are a few small references to Ava, but there's a lot of references to Gurren Lagann. There's a lot of them to a lot of like multiple different Gundam anime. It's just really, really wonderful to see just how much care and attention was put into this show.
And
It's
I will
worth it.
say, if you like Sakugan, if you guys don't do this, that's fine because I will eventually sit you down to do it. You should watch Decadence. There are
I
very similar threads in Decadence that really make you go, oh, I just love, particularly the dynamic between the two main characters, being a young girl who doesn't have a father and a older guy who's just working, who she kind of becomes like a almost daughter to.
Yeah.
The dynamics incredible in Decadence. I love it. So, it's good. Yeah, I guess we're pushing on. It's time for build divide, baby.
God, I hate
Um,
you, Sean.
That's this one's screenshot name. There you go. You get the little look into this. Welcome
Bread
to
Divide.
Build Divide Code Black. I want to begin by letting you all know how I convinced Michael to move Banished up the list besides telling him to rewatch it. I also went to him, you might not like Banished, but Build Divide's a best show.
And I went.
and
I
let-
can't disagree.
Let me talk Build Divide, because there's a reason I'm still smiling when I say that. Build Divide follows our main character, Teruto Karabe, and he doesn't have memories of why he's here, but he's in New Kyoto, this city where everybody plays Build Divide. Build Divide is law. Build Divide decides everything about your life, and that is terrifying because the show doesn't take enough time to explain to us how Build Divide really works in depth, and that's by far its biggest problem.
Yes.
Teruto meets Sakura, who is another Build Divide player. She explains the idea of these rebuild battles and how the goal is to win enough chips to go and face the king, and by facing and challenging the king, and if you win, you get a wish. And the idea is that as we see Teruto fight Sakura, we learn that he is some pretty well known, at least to her. She recognizes his name. And to our antagonist organization, we know he's some important Build Divide fighter who has reemerged. He wears a really dumb hoodie that he flips the hood up on and then flips the dumb fucking mask over his face every time he summons his main ace card. And
Blue.
Yep, Bloom.
Mommy.
And this game is like a mix of, I think the best way to describe it is a mix of Cardfight Vanguard and Duel Masters, because it has.
You guys are forgetting that it's also the Naruto card game, where your cards where you just generic cards are also mana.
It has a
That
life.
was Pokemon Magic.
It has a life system. Pokemon's also a good one because the life system. This is why I say Duel Masters, because Duel Masters' life system is you have a bunch of life shields that get hit and broken, and then when you're out of life shields and you get hit directly, you lose. And that's how Build Divide works. You have 10 of these lives, and then once they get, and each of the lives are a card from your deck, seems to be the implication,
Which
at
is
least.
Pokemon.
Yeah,
Which is
you draw
like
the
the
top
prize
card off
cards
your deck.
of Pokemon. Yeah,
and it's got the attacking blocking system of Magic.
yeah.
I mean, yeah, you pull the cards. It's more like Vanguard, where it's just the top card is checked.
Oh,
They're
not.
not.
I thought you set them aside.
I
believe,
can't tell.
I believe that's what we went over, because 10 cards of a 40 card of like a 40-50 card deck is a lot to set aside at the start.
Yes.
It's
41
difficult.
cards.
It's difficult to tell. Well, one card set aside.
And it seems like he pulls them off the top, and that's like the idea is that he's pulling a bunch out of his deck. That's how his deck works.
But the problem is he also pulls a lot of cards off top of his deck regularly. So in my opinion, it's not very clear in the show whether those 10 life shields are from the deck or not, or if they're set aside. I could imagine it either way. It makes a lot more sense to be counting them if they're set aside at random. But if you're pulling them, you can also stack them, and that's an odd thing to me about it. It'd be interesting. It is a lot more like Vanguard if you can stack them and manipulate what your life counters are. But the idea is that when these counters get hit by a monster's attack, they break, and when they break, it reveals the card that it is, and if it has a trigger effect, it will activate. And there are triggers in the game called burst triggers that if they activate, you lose an additional life. It triggers the next one. So you can, and we have seen, there be a chain of burst triggers activate on damage. The cards have a bunch of different mechanics similar to a lot of other card games. Kind of the important one is like this double strike, this multi-strike feature where it allows them to attack twice. And because that seems to be one of the things that get played a lot. They each have, a big card they use, and it has a lot of special effects, and when they summon it, they often activate their territory card, and their territory has a lot of effects they activate. Another issue with this show is that really only Teruto's or new character from episode 3, Enjo, only really their decks make sense to me. I'm not really sure what Sakura's deck was doing besides maybe recruiting monsters straight from the deck to the field. And I really have no idea what Hiyori's deck was. They didn't feel like they went enough into the mechanics for me to understand it, whereas Enjo's deck really did feel like rush down beat, like mono fire.
He's a burn deck that also had
strike.
an end game plan.
And Teruto's deck is just all gambling, luck, rolling, taking the chance.
He's a Joey Wheeler deck.
Yeah. And what and really the plot of the first 3 episodes is just Sakura taking Teruto around to fight Build Divide fighters. And I'll leave some of the main critiques to everyone else here. I'll say probably one of its chief things I do like, besides its opening fucking slapping, is I love the card designs. They're really pretty. Like the monsters, it's really cool. Visually, this is a very great card anime. Visually to watch. It has the same benefits as Vanguard to me, where I enjoy watching the card fight because the cards are cool. Seeing the field and interactions is neat, but not understanding the game to the depth that I would like to be watching it really hurts it. And on top of that, I really like the way episode 3 ends. I think the cliffhanger about them being the only thing in existence is their town, and also the introduction of this new antagonist who has some relation to Teruto, uh,
Oh yeah.
at least gives it legs to stand on for an argument of I would watch another episode of Build Divide. So that Build Divide, there's a lot to talk about with Build Divide in that regard. Just because it's a card game, you could talk mechanics, you could talk its story, its characters. There's a lot to go through.
You could.
But we also don't have to.
Alternatively,
I know you want it
Kinda
gone.
bad. I want another show gone more, but we'll get there.
I think this show does have. I
I
think this show is a bad kind of funny in my brain. I enjoy watching it, but I can recognize it's nowhere near the caliber of everything else this season in my brain.
it's of the same like vein as to when I'm watching Digimon, where it's like, man, if this was 20 years ago when I was like 5 to 10 years old, I'd be loving this shit. It looks really good. They talk a lot. Cool monsters destroy stuff. Cool. But as an adult, it's just like I don't understand how the card game's working. And even though I understand a lot of the things that happen in it, like it feels like the fight or just like draw a card, talk about thing, destroy life point. Close battle. Hero win because Hero gambled all chips, and if Hero lost all chips, then Hero wouldn't be able to keep competing. So therefore, Hero has to win because he gambled all the chips. Therefore, Hero has to win. And it's like
Digimon, Yu-Gi-Oh syndrome,
no
where you bet
losing.
if you bet everything, you
makes-
can never lose because then the show would end.
Exactly, and that's kind of really fucking boring to me. Because it's like I don't care about the outcome of a card game if there's no actual stakes. Because even though there's stakes, they're so stakes that are so high that they can't physically lose.
Hey, you should watch Card Fight Vanguard.
Yeah. I like the setting of Neo Tokyo. I think it's cool. I think the fact that Neo Tokyo is just a fucking sitting in Sunny Boy Void space
Yeah,
is
it
another
is
thing.
void.
I like Sakura. I think she's great. Outside of that, I don't care about any other character. I don't care about Teruto and his edgy bread loss robe shenanigans.
I don't know. I thought the bread scene was funny. That's because I love that.
I like Sakura's dying because she looks like
meme.
she looks like that one penguin girl thing that happened.
Mirku.
Yeah, Mirku. And that's just I love her design. I think it's cute. But I guess like he already has 8 chips now, so I mean we're like a third of the way done with the show. Great, because we're 3 episodes in, and we're a third of the way done with the show.
So I will say I think I'm higher on this show than other people are. Partially just because card games are like half of my living right now. And what I really like about this show is the fact that it actually goes into the math at some points of, hey, you have X amount of cards that
Yeah.
you really don't want to hit. So, and you have drawn this many cards and you've played this many cards. Therefore, you have X amount of chance to actually hit the cards you don't want to hit.
Triggers are really cool.
I really enjoy that Teruto goes about it in, yes, he is like his whole deck is based on gambling chance, but it's actually well done as opposed to like Joey Wheeler where it's just haha, I like
Time
rolling
Wizard.
dice. Time
Give
Wizard.
me Time Wizard and turn back time
Lucky
to
dice.
make
Angel dice,
ancient
devil dice.
dragon.
Yeah,
Yeah,
1,000-year dragon.
Yeah, no,
Which
like
doesn't actually work like that.
Yeah, no, it does not.
Look,
No,
season one
kind of.
season one did not
Wizard.
season 1 did not understand the
Yu-Gi-Oh?
concept of fusion summoning. Cut them some slack.
Well, that's
Yes.
because season 1 was made before the card game existed.
Yes, because season 1 existed back when Yu-Gi-Oh was the king of games and not Yu-Gi-Oh. He's the king of Yu-Gi-Oh. But
I
yeah.
forgot an important point about this show. Did he just like fucking kill someone in episode 1? Like with his Grim Reaper card?
He might have.
Yes.
Like
Yeah, he might
that's
have.
what it made it seem like. Like they ran into an alley, they ran into him, he dropped his bread, and he fucking murdered them in cold blood, and then ran off with the love at first sight girl.
From
Like,
the way this show's set it up, I don't think anyone gives a fuck about that. If you're not good enough at Build Divide, you might as well die. Like we were
You're
talking
not-
earlier about Vanguard.
Yeah.
What's
So-
that? What's that? You're
Yeah.
bronze 3 at Build Divide? You're fucking dead, kid. I'm gold 4.
This show is really weird that it's trying to hit you. It's trying to hit
I
you with the
net
how
decked.
do you feel about the social class hierarchy structure of our world? Do you want to tear down the government? Workers rise up. I made a joke
So-
that the group of card fighters in episode 3 who are like, who are like, I don't remember what they're exactly called, but like the organization of like the non-skilled card fighters. I was like, and here you have everyone who goes O2 in pools.
that they're like,
That's
they need to give us better. But yeah, so I found a video. I think Mason had found a similar video or the same one. Like last time we were watching this, I was watching through the beginning. I linked it in our group chat. So general functions about the game, questions we had. Yes, your
Michael?
special card is a commander.
Michael?
It is a double-sided extra card.
I am gonna say this. I appreciate this greatly. We keep going, and I don't think I care enough to watch a video and hear about it because the show isn't what taught me it, and that's kind of how I want to stay
No,
on
that's
this matter.
understandable.
We can talk about how it actually works later for some to clarify some things. Cool. I don't want to spend the next 15 minutes talking build divide rules. We have other stuff to get through still, and it's
Understandable.
already almost 2 a.m. So
Work at 9 a.m.
I know. It's build divide, baby. This is gonna make for one of the interesting shows
Actually-
up on the chopping block for some people.
Excuse me. I have work at 8:30 tomorrow morning.
Oh god.
Oh, that's even better.
Hey Michael, let's go through this very quickly. Why don't you tell us what
Um,
Digimon Ghost Game is and why you like it?
Digimon Ghost Game is Digimon. But like they're trying to pull a more like horror thing. Obviously, this is still a kid show, so it's not like real spooky scary. But like it does have some bits that are a little like dark. Especially with like the first. This has been episodic up to this point with the villains, in a way, going, yeah, I'm gonna come back later, and they probably will. With episode 1 focusing on the Digimon Clockmon, and his whole gimmick is that if he hits you with his funny Clockmon
Funny
hammer,
clock hammer.
he can steal your life force, and by that I
He
mean
can time wizard ya.
he takes away your remaining lifespan.
He accelerates it. He accelerates it. It's
No,
the
but no, he steals it.
But
'cause he
after
has it,
after
and he gives it
accelerates
back.
after he accelerates it, because that's an important part of how they beat him. Because he throws the branch at him and it accelerates into like the larger branch. So he accelerates their time period and takes it.
Yeah. He's a clock. That's his whole game. He's a dude with a clock. Episode 2 focuses on Mummymon.
He's a time wizard.
He's a mummy who is trying to be a doctor. And he thinks that trying to make other people mummies is good, not realizing that making people mummies kills them. It's a goofy little thing. I will say I do like what they do with episodes 1 and 2, which is that Gamamon, which is our main character's rookie level Digimon, does not win either fight. He repels them for long enough that they retreat, and they talk no jutsu Mummymon out of his thing, and they, as Sean said, throw a tree at Clockmon. Episode 3, we introduce our second main character, which is our female, which is the one that's in the screenshot, and we get to meet her rookie level Digimon, Angoramon, who's a big old fluff ball. Also, Gamamon is wonderful. We love him. He is adorable. He's a little like dragon little boy kind of thing, and he's good. Angoramon is like, imagine if Terriermon was just big. And he's good. He slaps things. And the villain of this one is Drakumon, or just Drakmon. In the English versions, he is another rookie level, so this is the first time we see one of our rookie levels actually defeat their foe, kind of. He still just goes, haha, you think I only have one set of eyes? The show is very much a kid's show. And much like Dragon Quest The Adventure of Dai, when that was on this podcast, it's a good time. It's fun. I enjoy it. It doesn't do anything bad. I do really enjoy what we've gotten of our characters, at least. It is just a good time. I have fun.
Before we let the other two, who obviously based on power ranking do not like this as much as Michael and I do, talk about this show, I will say that I am in the camp of a show that is innately made for kids does not have to be bound by a tag of kids show, and this show isn't. And I think you can get a lot out of watching shows for kids and still really enjoy them and still really take things out of them and think and like evaluate them on the same level as the rest of the content we're watching. I think Digimon makes for an interesting experiment, and in my opinion, I think it's enjoyable. I think it's interesting. I think even in terms of its own series, it's doing new and innovative things. And most importantly, I think its tone and mood is on point. I think like it doesn't scare me, but it gives me at least gives it puts me in the same where I'm like, you know what, this is kind of creepy. If I was a kid, I might be scared shitless. But I'm not a kid, so I at least respect what it accomplishes. And I really personally enjoy the couple 3 episodes we have here. That being said, do I understand that everyone out that 2 other people on this podcast really don't like this show and that maybe it's rude to keep it on here? I am considering that, yes.
So pre-thing, I never watched Digimon as a kid. So I have literally no like prior knowledge of this aside from, Digivolve, haha, memes, whatever. Um, and like to me, I don't enjoy any of what this show is doing. Like, it is just a kid's show to me. And like, yeah, okay, it does have some moments where it's like, ooh, ha, it's creepy. Like the Clockmon stuff, yeah, that's unsettling. Okay. But like none of the characters are interesting to me, and none of like the fights aren't that good. And just overall, like I feel like if I had the prior like experience of watching Digimon as a kid, I would enjoy it a lot more. But to me, this is just a meh kid show that I don't think is anywhere near any of the other shows on this list. Like I at the very least enjoy some things that Build Divide is doing because I like card games and I think like the characters are somewhat enjoyable, at least for like Enjo and Sakura. I don't even remember the names of anything that isn't Gamamon or Angoramon. The only reason I remember Angoramon is because we watched this episode 2 hours ago.
Almost
I
3.
almost 3. I just don't enjoy this show at all.
I know his name is Hero because he's the main character, so he's the
Fuck.
hero.
Fuck, you're right. I forgot about that. Yeah.
Didn't realize.
I
Not
just
gonna lie.
okay. I just like. I mean, it's a kid show, and I respect that. But for me, it's really boring because it's a kid show, and I respect that. But it's really boring. And see what I just did there, where I repeated myself? That's what this show does sometimes. Where like a bad guy will say something, and then the good guy will say the same exact thing again, and then the bad guy will either repeat it again or then say something different for the main character or the character in question to repeat it again. And I get it. But does that mean I have to give it leniency? No, because as a Saber Slay, my opinion matters, and I'm allowed to have that. And I think this show is just terrible to watch as an adult. I do not have an attachment to Digimon. I did watch some of it as a kid. Never played any of the games. Because I was just like never in that age group, and so like Digimon was just like never in my scope, and so like watching this show just reminds me of like when I like a faint nostalgia of watching Digimon as a kid and just going, man, this still kind of sucks.
Now, what I want to
like
say is
all I
that
remember is Digivolving, and when they don't do that, I get really bored,
what I want to say is
and that
that
still holds true.
looking at this franchise, it definitely helps to have a connection to it for sure. It also probably helps that Michael and I have a tendency to watch stuff from when we were younger and kind of like still enjoy
Card
it.
Fight.
I mean, Card Fight aired when it aired when I was 11,
2011.
but Card Fight's very much like
2011.
I think Card Fight's
forget
less
it.
of a kid show.
God,
I forget how much younger you guys are than
We're
John and
only
I.
4 years,
these
but like
kids,
yeah.
Mason. These
but,
kids.
like-
I don't know.
Like,
It's one of
I-
those things where like yeah, I do consider my brother, who is the same age as you, significantly older than me.
I also enjoy. I also separate Card Fight because it's tied to like a game. right?
Samurai
Like-
Jackets, kids.
Like I think there's an
Yes.
argument to
Well,
watching
so did-
watching
that
stuff
came
like
out- also
Pokemon
have
now
movies for
and
kids.
looking at it and finding what you can enjoy and recognizing that
Yeah,
parts of
for
it are
sure.
for kids for sure. And
Yeah.
for me, what I'll say about this season, about this Digimon, is that it has a horror-esque tone to it that the rest of the seasons kind of just avoid out for like 1 or 2 episodes, with the exception of late game Tamers. And I will say, if you are someone who
Tamers is kind of dark with
if
what
you
it's been
are
building from what I've
looking if you are looking to potentially engage with Digimon in any form on a level that is less kiddish, my 2 recommendations for you, well, 3, are Tamers. It is, in my opinion, the best of all Digimon anime, and it reaches a level that no other one does ever, in my opinion. And I would then say, video game wise, you should play the Cyber Sleuth games. They're just Persona games. They just function like a Persona RPG. Really fun. I clocked a lot of time into it, 100% of both it and its spin-off sequel. And they're coming out with a visual novel tactics game called Digimon Survive, hopefully next year. God, please let this game release.
It was supposed to come out in like 2020.
2019.
Or
And it's been
2019. It has
delayed
been pushed back
continually
consistently.
until next year because COVID.
I never like a show that just like solves all its problem through talk no jutsu.
So here's the funny thing, is that while that might be
Here's the funny
off-putting,
thing.
is that in relation to knowing Digimon, it would be more infuriating
It's
if
very
it did the
to
other
the
way.
point.
They're not at a
But-
level where they can defeat these enemies,
but-
which is really interesting for us.
I can't help but compare the show, and my notes just says this show is like amalgamation of Other Side Picnic and like some 4chan Digimon creepypasta.
I
And that's
I
just
don't
how I
think
feel about the show.
we have a lot else to say about this, but I
I'm more
wanted to
entertained to look at the pretty
express
pictures of
that.
card game than I am
What's
about
even
looking at
funnier
the
with me is that like I
child
don't
Digimon.
like I don't have a connection to Digimon from my childhood. Like I saw a few episodes maybe when I was younger, but my experience with Digimon is from like a year and a half ago when I watched Adventures 1 and 02 and started Tamers
It's from me.
with
It's my fault.
Sean and DJ and our friend Jackson.
I grew up with Digimon. I grew up with like everything.
I was a Pokemon
From like,
kid.
well, I was a Pokemon kid too, but I grew up with Digimon.
I owned
I grew
one
up with,
Digimon
Wow,
game.
you're
I didn't
privileged. You
understand
got
it.
I grew up
and
with
Digimon.
I grew up with Bakugan and Beyblade. My family worked in retail.
Mr. Moneybags over here.
My family was
Bakugan.
middle, maybe upper middle when I was growing up, and they worked in retail, so I got a lot of toys.
That'll do it.
So I mean, it's also why I was a Yu-Gi-Oh
God.
kid and all
When
that.
did Bakugan come out? That was like I feel like ancient when Bakugan came out.
It was like
Yeah.
elementary school for us.
Yeah,
It's like
I was
end of elementary
dude,
school.
that's like
2007.
yeah, I'm like that was 2008, 2000.
Mid elementary school.
So like
Yeah.
I was in middle school.
Yeah, I was in
going into
second
that.
grade.
It's like middle school tier, yeah.
I was in like 5th or 6th grade when that came out, and I was like, I'm too old for this.
Yeah. So I will.
My brother got really into it though.
I will say, I think on an animation,
look
I think
cool.
on an anime level, everything that's below Digimon on my list is probably actually above it. But out of the joy that I get watching it, it's above the other shows for a reason, and I
that's
can't
fine.
wait to talk about the next show and why Digimon's above it on my list.
What is the next show?
Yours, Assassin.
Okay, yeah. I don't know why it's above it on your list because Assassin does a
talk.
lot of really fucking cool things.
Sure, I have
Okay,
a lot of
we'll
reasons
get
why
there.
I don't like it.
So Assassin opens up, and visually, again, another show just looks visually really good. In terms of like a fantasy show, I think this show looks really pretty.
Thanks, Silverlink.
God bless. This looks like a fucking mobile game tier of like how good all the PNGs are in this show.
It looked like Arc Knights.
It does. I don't like
Fun
that.
fact, do you know Arcades is getting an anime?
Yes,
I
it
know.
is.
So I think that the opening is probably like visually one of the best openings I've ever seen. It's got like a James Bond film like opening aesthetic to it that I really love. I think the song's average, but I think the opening, like the aesthetic of it's really cool. And the opening opens up on this first episode where it's the first episode like the slave trader episode. It is,
Yes.
right?
Yes.
And so basically they're at this hall where bad guys are selling off young girls as slaves, right? And then basically one girl's like, nope, I'm cool, magic, break the cuffs, boom, magic rifle, pew, 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 starts just fucking lighting the place up with these magic rifles. And we're like, okay, I see it. And big bad girl starts running away, and we get a cut basically of our main character guy sitting outside, just like, and there she is, and shoots it, and then cuts to black as it switches back to his original world because he's isekai'd in, of course, World's Finest Assassin, another world. So he's just like this ex-military, like basically hitman, where he's like raised and born to be an assassin, and then when he finally retires, they kill him. Basically, it's a TLDR that you need to see. He has this cute like aside with like this like person who he's supposed to be training, this blonde girl who I don't even think I wrote her name down, because it didn't matter. But essentially, yeah, our main character boy is super loyal to the cause and ends up getting betrayed, shocking nobody. Um, and so he basically finally realizes, oh fuck, I'm upset and I have emotions again. Shit, this sucks. And then again, plane crashes, explodes, whatever. I have a feeling that girl's gonna come back as one of the other characters in this because anime has a way of fucking doing that. But maybe she's just dead. Who knows? And he has this meeting with God where she's like, listen here, listen here, little shit. I got a deal for you. Let's make a deal. You get reincarnated. It's gonna happen regardless. You could go reincarnated as a baby and lose your memories like everybody else does, or we can have a little fun with this thing, a little bit of shindig here. I'm gonna put you in this fantasy world with magic and shit. You're gonna keep your memories, and you have to do just a little teensy favor for me. Just kill the hero for me, of this world, because essentially in episode 2, I think it goes a bit more in depth to this, where he has 18 years, his 18th birthday, to kill the hero. After 16 years in this time, once his character is reborn, the hero is going to save the world by defeating the Demon King. However, 2 years later, eventually that same hero is going to plunge the world into chaos and destroy it. And so we learn that each human in this world is given 5 skills randomly when they're born, up to 5 skills randomly when they're born. And these skills range from S tier down to C tier or D tier. And so in exchange for being reincarnated, he gets to choose the 5 skills he's allowed to have because that's the max for normal humans, and he gets max base stats basically for humans. And so amongst these skills, there is a total of 123,851 skills. I wrote this stuff down because I care about this show because it was interesting to me. And so he basically gets to choose one S rank skill, which is a 1 in 100 million. An A rank skill 1 in a million, a B rank skill 1 in 10,000, a C rank skill 1 in 100, and D rank skills which everyone has at least one.
Um,
And so
reminder: the hero has 30.
the hero has 30, which I think 5 of which are S rank and the rest are A rank. So he has 25 A rank skills and 5 S rank skills to compete with 5 of the entire horizon. And so he basically picks 4. We learn about 4 of the 5 skills he picks. We don't learn about the D one that he gets. But his S rank skill is Rapid Recovery. His A rank skill is Spellweaver, which lets him create new spells. He has his B rank skill, which is Limitless Growth. C rank skill, which is Martial Arts, and a D rank skill that we don't know about yet.
All we know is that his D rank skill is really broken in his opinion. It
it's
shouldn't be a
gem.
D rank skill.
Which
So-
I'll be interested to see what that is.
But he's made himself insanely broken just based off the fact of rapid regrowth and limitless
growth,
Yeah.
where he can just train forever and constantly get better.
Yep. And so the magic in this world is split into 6 elements: your usual earth, fire, wind, water, light, and dark, which are rare. And he just takes the 4 basic elements: earth, fire, wind, water, for affinities. And so there's an important line episode 2 that I really liked, where he just basically says, "Do you want me to save the world or do you want me to kill the hero?" And I think that's a really good line. And they basically say, "Well, if you could save the world, not kill the hero, go for it. But good fucking luck." Is basically the TLDR that Goddess gives him. And so with all this, he gets born into the house of Tooth of Day, which is a family of assassins, and now his new name is Lou. And so he's the second child of the family. The prior was lost in some tragedy. We're going to figure it eventually. And so
He's a rainbow baby.
he gets to be 7, where eventually he gets trained in the ways of an assassin. He has optimal cooking strats for maximum growth, kind of broken. And this house represents the greatest medical experts using their knowledge to both aid the kingdom in medicine and assassinations, including medicinal assassination techniques. And there's a special secret of the house in which they have like superhuman eyes, basically, that are conveniently perfect for an assassin, which makes sense for the house he's in. And so he's set up to succeed here, which is fine by me. And these eyes basically are like the meme where it's like zoom, focus,
and hey,
zoom, focus. And so he eventually gets taught magic in this 3rd episode with one of the top 5 magics, Dia Vicon, Dia, basically, who we do see in the original at the 1st episode, I believe. We meet 2 other girls as well, who is Maha and Tart, and I'm sure we'll introduce them later as well. And she's slightly lower than he is, but is one of the top 5 mages in the nation, teaches him magic. Turns out he's fucking broken. because he has limitless fucking recovery basically, so he has a lot of fucking mana to produce. And so at the end of the episode we get it where the dad basically like brings him down here and is like, listen, people only kill because they have to, not because they're ordered to or request it. You do what you need to do, but don't just do it because you're ordered to do it, right? Like there's a logic behind it. Um and basically they have it at the very end of this episode, this scene where he's like, okay, listen, I'm gonna have you kill your first person. Lou just goes, fucking yeah, right. And there's this girl who is 19 and is accused of robbing, burning the evidence, killing the family or whatever, and is put on this tier show. And Lou just comes up and starts off by cutting off her fucking hand, which she goes, what the fuck? You said if I gave him a tear show, I'd be able to live. And then eventually starts shouting obscenities and then eventually just throws a dagger right in her eye and then it cuts to black, basically. I think that scene was sick. I think this show's pretty good. I think it's setting up to be an interesting isekai. I think it does a lot that's really cool with the world. I like how it sets up its like power system. And I'm excited to see where it goes from here. Also, by the way, he used magic to create guns, which I think is pretty funny. But yeah, I think this show's pretty hype for an isekai. It's better than I thought it would be.
Do you want me to go first
For sure.
or last?
It's up to you. I don't care. I think it's good though.
I mean, I can talk. I have it at 9, I think.
That's right.
Yeah. I don't dislike the show. I think it's neat. I like its fantasy stuff. Like, I think its world's really cool. But that's I don't know. I think our main character is fine at best. Like, I don't dislike him. I think he's good, but I don't think he's like great like any of our other like most of our other main characters this season like at all. I think he was cooler as an old guy. I mean, Dia, we know from the opening is going to be in his party or whatever. Wasn't a fan of her going. I mean, this episode sets up some weird third episode when we meet her sets up some funny things where she says something about family with him, but they never elaborate on it. And I go, are they related? Question mark. Because if they are, that makes the rest of this episode even more weird. When they had this whole little bit of him using magic for his first time, his first time. It's an experience like no other. They are 7 and 10. Show you gotta stop this. They are actually children.
Yeah,
Like it was.
I was definitely cringing at that.
Oh yeah, for
bit.
sure.
But like, I do like the end of the episode. I like the bit with the taking off the hand. It wasn't like a ooh wow crazy shock factor. It was just a cool. He's doing his assassin things. Of course, he's a fucking hard boiled assassin. That's who he is.
He can read people.
It's just like I think the show's fine. I think I like Paladin more as an isekai. So Paladin's Buffett, and I like other shows more. I don't know.
I really enjoyed this show. It's probably lower on my list than I probably made it seem, but I really enjoy it. I agree that the main character is like fine. He's not the greatest. He's not the worst. But I just really enjoy the world building that we've gotten, and the magic is fucking cool in this show. I like that they really kind of did a deep dive into how the magic works. Um, Also, something that I noticed when we were watching was any of their spells that they create are literally just saying
Yeah.
what the spell does backwards.
That was really funny when we had the revelation like episode 3.
I caught it episode 1 when they were creating the rifles.
Yeah, when they said Edif.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, for
fire.
fire as well.
I think I noticed that a little bit in episode
You notice
one.
the
but I
audio
didn't really-
distortion's weird.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, it's because it's just the words in reverse.
They just say it and then they just replay the audio back, which I think actually
Yeah.
is, I think it makes it really cool in terms of like the actual audio effect it has on the show, but that's just
But yeah, I like this show. I think it's solidly good. I'm excited to see more of it because I want to see more of like him actually getting into the whole planning out how he's going to kill the hero, and I want to see the hero as well. But yeah, I'm hoping this continues to be good. I really like the combat in the show as well. The first episode's combat was really fucking sick.
I'm
I
just glad it's
want to
not
learn his D rank
garbage.
skill.
I
Yeah,
do
Yeah,
too.
I want to know that now.
I am happy the show isn't absolute garbage. I don't think it's bad.
I thought it was gonna be trashy as fuck, but it's actually pretty entertaining.
Yeah.
So there are a couple of things I like. I really like the magic system, as we've talked about. I am interested in the skill system, but it
I
isn't
think it's a better
innate.
version of Banished system.
It isn't innately anything new to me from other fantasy isekais I've watched in that regard. The magic system is really cool and it's kind of new, and it's like the one thing the show really has going for me. Another thing that I'm really interested in is that in episode 2, our main character gets his eye ability. In episode 1, Dia kind of uses it herself, which I think is really
Yeah, she has the same
interesting.
eyes.
She
I
has the
saw that
same
too.
thing. And it was something I noticed. So I am interested in that. There are too many things, however, that make me worry about this show. Episode 1, in its action scenes, it is innately riddled with panty shots. The
Yeah.
episode 3 has the scene that Michael already talked about of them of them unlocking his magical capacity. Episode 2 has the scene with him and his mother, and that's like tolerable. I don't really care as much for that. But it also has the scene with him and his father training naked. And it's very odd. And I understand it's an assassin. It's like I understand it from the way the story frames it. I have less of a problem with that than everything else here. But it's more of a combination of factors here for me that make me worry about it. And the other thing for me is that the end of episode 3, where he cuts off her hands and kills her, to me is just there to set the tone that this can be and will probably be a little bit darker of a themed isekai. But it carries no weight for me. It has no real impact on me. I don't really care that it happens the way it does, and it feels a little too over the top for me because I've just come off watching an isekai that does almost this exact same scene but better and earns it by building it to its later episodes, and that's in Moonlit. So for me, I'm engaging with an isekai that's only new and engaging thing for me is its magic system, and it has enough other things in it that make me worry that its quality is going to dip later and is going to get riddled more with a lot of fan service and a lot of questionable scenes. I'm hoping I am wrong. This is the show I want to be the most wrong about because it has a lot of really good potential, but that right now is what's keeping it above Digimon in terms of the fact that I enjoy watching Digimon. This makes me worry about some things. It's still a step above the things below it for sure. Definitely. And that's just where I stand with it. Otherwise, I like a lot of other stuff about it.
Yeah, I think it's early list too. Like, there's a lot to wait on with a lot of these shows.
Yeah.
And like,
sure.
again, like, I think everything that like all of us could say, like everything above like 10 on our lists, were like, yeah, there's some good stuff about
Yeah.
it.
Yeah, we don't think they are bad shows if they
No.
are above 10.
Even like our 11s and 12s were like, yeah, there's some interesting things about it.
And
Like-
and what are our 11s and like what are or above 10s are different for the four of us. Like
Exactly.
so it's interesting in that regard. I really hope I'm wrong on Assassin. I want to be proven wrong by this Dodge. I
want this to be sick.
I
want this
want
be
to like
absolutely
I want
sick.
to like this as much as you and Mason do. I really do.
I'm not super. I know I put it at 6, but like I said, anything like 6 to like 10 could have gone in any order, or even like sometimes like 11.
Yeah.
But like, it's one of those things where it's like, I hope this is good, not just because it's my show, because like the foundation is there, right?
Mhm.
Like, there's a lot of cool foundational stuff. I just hope it doesn't get bogged down, like you said, in too much of the trashy isekai tropes.
Yeah.
Like of course it's an isekai, it's gonna have fan service. 99% of these shows are going to do that, and that's just kind of like the gamble you take by picking them.
Also, for what it's worth, if you're liking this, you should go watch Jobless.
I
Yeah.
know.
Jobless is
I
this,
know
but
it's
done
good.
better.
So I've been told by quite a few people too that Beaufry is a lot like
Oh,
this.
and that's what I mean by by having it like the skill tree's nothing new for me because Beaufry kind of also. Beaufry's a
They're
comedy though.
uneasy girls.
Beaufry's a comedy. You have to go into it
Fair
not
enough.
expecting it to be serious at all.
It's not like I don't want to get hurt, so I maxed out my defense. or
Yes.
something like that.
Yes.
Yes,
Okay.
I have a someone that I'm talking to is telling me like they're watching the stream as well, and she's like, "Yeah, no, this sounds exactly like Beaufry."
end of Beaufort is the most insane fucking ride I've ever been on for a show like it. That show is great. I love that show. It deserved to, I think it deserved to break top 3 that season. If, well, Aizuken was there, so really it shouldn't have. But if Aizuken wasn't there, it was a good contender for top 3 that season.
Are we done talking about
Oh yeah, one last show. One
Dude,
last show, crew.
hot
It's
take
a good one.
Before you get started, Mason, hot take. I think this is by far the biggest jump from like picking a show to how good it was season.
Yes.
Like
So,
I
Yeah.
expected it to be
Yeah.
pretty good and cute. It was fucking outstanding. Go ahead, Mason.
So, this was the show that I picked going, hey, if Chainsaw Man comes out and it works, I'm gonna drop this show. And now I'm not so sure about that because the show is legitimately wonderful. It is just so goddamn cute.
I mean, we're
So-
forgetting the other contingency of that, which was that if that happened, Dawes was then switching out Assassin for this.
I was definitely gonna say, dude, at this point, I would have switched.
That was
if,
the contingency.
if there was like a weekend, I would either switch to Assassin or I would have fucking everything but Komi-san can go. I'll crap both of them for this show at this point, dude. This thing's
So-
adorable.
So, so this show is all about our two main characters, who are Futaba Igarashi and Takeda. I forget his last name, but
Talking to good boy.
Takeda is just a big ol' himbo. He's great, and Futaba is a very small kohai to him, and it's just all of their shenanigans at work and how she actually likes him, but she's kind of a tsundere and doesn't want to say anything about it.
Kind.
But literally everyone at the office knows. So we get very good, like, we just get a lot of like small kind of gags and like talking about how they're business people, and we also get a lot of a couple of the side characters, mainly Kazuma, who is like another one of the guys at work, and Sakurai, who's another one of the women who works there. And it's very clear that Kazuma and Sakurai like one another, and I love the fact that Sakurai asks him first, and the show is just wonderful. I can't even like say specifically like everything that happens in the show. It's just a lot of like, oh god, that was cute. Oh, that was cute too. Why is everything in the show so goddamn adorable?
Ah, this ship's so good.
The fucking at the end of episode 2,
I don't
the
think
Kazuma with the buns bit.
I don't think
Yeah.
we've died more together collectively than episode 2 of this show.
God,
Yes.
Kazuma just go. It was such a good fucking bit. How dynamically they had his head swivel from position to position. Just the way they framed it. God, it was so good.
And he's so wonderful. Him and Sakura, they're so good.
Yeah, him
Dude,
and Sakurai are
can we-
fucking adorable.
Can we talk about how the best ship of this show isn't even the main characters? It's the side
And they're-
characters that are also main characters.
And the main
but,
characters
like,
are still really good.
yeah,
Yeah.
like oh my god, you guys can talk about it first.
This show
Good
makes me
show.
smile. This show makes me smile. I really enjoy it. I'm really happy to have a slice of life rom-com I like. It's so nice to be here.
Who would have thought that I would be the one to pick the really, really, really good rom-com?
All it took was for
dude, we need
Dodge
it-
not to pick it.
All I'm
Holy
saying is-
shit!
all I'm saying is we hit this season, and I've never been more proud to have introduced someone to slice of life rom-coms than having Mason go out of his way to pick this show from me in like the last section, and to just be an absolute fucking banger of wholesomeness.
I don't have a lot to say about this show. I really like it. I love it.
Yeah,
I got-
So-
it's like,
I got stuff to say about it.
something I loved.
Top 3,
too,
baby, for me.
One of the main things I just absolutely fucking adored was there's the bit in episode 2 where Futaba and Takeda are on a train, and the doors open and Takeda fucking throws a dude out and starts beating the shit out of him because he was taking panty shots from a camera that was hidden inside a bag under Futaba's skirt. And it's just like, you're such a good boy, and we're getting you beating the shit out of someone who absolutely deserves it. I love everything about this right now.
And then Kazuma calling Sakurai.
Kazuma's calling Sakurai. So there's also
Oh my
a point.
god.
There's also a point in season 2 or in episode 2 where
These two, please.
where
I'm gonna read the shit out of
Sakurai,
this manga when it's done.
Sakurai is given something by like another person who works there, and he starts like trying to ask her out, and she's very clearly uncomfortable with it. And Kazuma notices and calls her, like saying like, "Oh yeah," he gives some bullshit excuse of like, "Oh, wrong number."
You got a sales call on line 1?
Yeah. Um, just to get her away, and she notices that it's him on the phone because he's like not like he's hiding behind a pillar, but not very well hiding. And just everything about this show, just it's fucking cute. I love it. So yeah, I'm very excited. Also I noticed something when I was looking at the power rankings, and I didn't mean to have my 3 shows all in second, third, fourth, but I fully
I mean,
I have your
No.
3 shows in second, third, fourth.
We all have
Yeah.
the
Hey,
top 5, basically.
yeah, it's
Yeah.
almost like they deserve it
Except
or
for
something.
yeah, it's almost like they deserve it because they're good shows. So I look.
We gotta kick Mason off, guys. He's too good.
True.
He's too good.
Yeah, I'll have to come back for
Every show
winter.
he's picked is every single show he's picked so far has been a banger. Like, what are we gonna do about this?
Yeah, 'cause,
Okay.
like, I'm trying to think. I forget what my third show last season was, but I know it was Realist and Vanitas.
Vanitas.
What was the third show? Because I do not remember.
You had Dungeon, didn't you?
No, that was
Dungeon
Michael.
I'll have to go through and check. I know we finished it probably.
We
Was
did.
it Detective?
Yes, it was.
Oh,
Detective.
maybe
Okay,
we
so
did.
you
Detective.
had one miss, but to be fair, its first episode was really good.
Its first episode was solid, and
And
then
it
it
looks really
started. It looked really pretty, and then it was like, wait, Gundam, wait,
What?
fucking werewolves.
This show is like Wotakoi, but like without the like full on romance and more of like the build up part still to it. Where you love all 4 of our main characters, right? And it's just an office setting, so they're adults, so they can do things like drink and like have adult relationships and stuff. I hope we get an actual relationship by the end of this. I doubt we will because it's building up to a show where it's just like hint 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 confession, right? For 11 episodes. And so we did have an indirect confession on episode 1. We had a cute
Oh,
Christmas
God,
on
I
episode
love
3. We have head pats galore. We have Tsukishiro, who we've barely seen at all, but she seems like a great character too, who just kind of pops up out of nowhere just
Oh
to
yeah,
fuck
her
with
friend.
Futaba.
Her friend's wonderful.
We have her other friend, who's the hot dark skinned girl. I like
that's
her
what
too.
I was thinking of. I don't remember who the other one is.
I'm talking about the
Tsukishiro's
one with the dead eyes and like the bluish
The
beige
one-
hair.
The one who when
The one that was in this
when-
episode.
the one who started in episode 1 by saying, "Oh yeah, here's this. It's vodka. It's totally not vodka. I promise. It's just water in a vodka bottle."
She's in the opening.
I like the.
I think she'll be
dark-skinned one,
great.
She's good.
Dark skinned girlfriend is great as well. What else we got in here? Manager being a Fuda Taka simp is pretty great. The office manager. I love Sakurai and Kazuma so much. They are the best ship. It's so wholesome. And I like that she's initiating this because he's a shy boy. And I think it's really cute when they go back and forward with it, like at the end of 3. I could just watch an entire show just on them, honestly, because they are they're my favorite ship of the show, above the Futaba and Taka relationship. But yeah, I mean, it's just whole loads of wholesome. My catchphrase for this show is "This is cute," because every time I'm watching this, I'm just smiling at something that happens, and it just does a great job with everything that's like slice of life, and that makes you want to just like enjoy this like show. It's very cute. It's very wholesome. I'm so happy it's here. Its opening also is like, it's not the best song, but it's very much one of the better anime openings, if that makes sense. Because it's got
just
the
a
cute
really
dance and
good time.
everything. It's got like the cuts where it's like moving along the hallway and things are happening and jumping in, and like it's just a good time, like you said.
Also, are we gonna ignore? I think it's. I want to say it was this show where there's a bit at the end where she just does finger guns. To like,
Right.
I don't remember exactly what it was in connection to, but all I remember is that her she does finger guns when like talking to Takeda or something. And fucking Christ, I love just the finger guns. It's funny. They are funny.
It's so good.
Yeah. I have
You
this,
can always end a conversation by walking away doing finger guns.
I have this above Comey not because I don't like Comey, but because I like this better. That's all it is. This is just this.
Yeah.
I
Like, I
just
think Comey had a stronger first.
Oh,
but I
yeah,
think this has been
for sure.
consistently stronger.
That's valid. I'm biased because I love Comey overall as a show.
Yeah, this is definitely like rising to the rest of the group for sure.
Let's be honest, dude. How many great anime that you like are like, adult relationships immediately bumps it up a tier. Like things like Wotokai where it's like, they're actually adults and can do adult things and talk about adult things
They
and
are
like
Look,
work and stuff.
look, shoot me. I need to go back and give Uzaki-chan another try because I honestly, they're college students, and I honestly,
Zaki-chan? Oh god.
I
Mommy
think,
milker lolly.
I think that show, legitimately, from what I saw from its third episode, looked like it was gonna be on an upswing, and I really think it deserves a second chance from me.
Train doors go bzzz. You lost me on that one.
Hey,
You
it's
almost thought we got away with it.
two grown
You almost
people.
thought we got away
Two
with it this
grown
season.
people. They're in college.
And it's Uzaki-chan. For a second,
Yeah,
my brain.
and me and Sean both really like
For
Nagatoro.
about like 3 seconds,
so
my
like
brain
I
thought
don't
you
see
said
where the problem
Umaru.
is here.
For like 3 seconds, I thought you said
No.
Umaru-chan. And I was thinking that little
No.
fucking orange bean of like fucking terrible programming.
Orange bean.
Voting's up, by the way.
Oh boy.
Only one of my votes I think is questionable this week. I'm just doing it because I can, and I'm not really worried about it.
Yeah, I'm gonna vote blue period just so we can have a slay.
I will fucking kill you.
Even though I already sent in my votes, I'll vote blue period. I'll do like another one so I can vote blue period.
Don't you fucking there.
Slay blue period.
Save Digimon, save Build Divide.
That episode was really good. That show's cute. Like that. Get that the fuck out of here.
I am sticking with my normal of only slaying the thing that I actually want, like that I really want gone, because I only slay one thing a week.
I don't. I slay whatever the fuck I care about. I don't care about as much.
I slay things that I'd be comfortable not watching next week.
Yeah, pretty much same. Or unless I really like, once I get into like week 6 or something, that's when I'm like, okay, I really want to not watch this
When
show.
I have to start thinking about like if I think a show I really like could go, I might start, wiggling
It starts
my
getting
votes
on
a
the
little
slay
more.
list.
But
Getting a couple on there.
Yeah.
Just getting the thought out there that you don't like it as much.
Okay, we've got everything. We ready? I'm gonna run through things that have full saves. Blue period, Komi, ranking, paladin, arena, Sakugan, senpai. Assassin has one slay. It's me. It's the only week I'll slay it probably, unless it gets worse. I figured I might as well. I have enough
Yeah,
issues
that's
with
fair.
it that honestly,
You know no one else is going to. You might as well just put
I
it
could
out
drop
there.
it now. I wouldn't. Tact has one slay. It wasn't me.
That was me.
Um.
Again, like I could drop it if I wanted to. It's still good. We're still gonna watch it. I'm not worried about it. I'm just letting you know it's on the hit list.
Banished has 2. It's Michael and I.
Yep.
We have a tie. Build, divide, Digimon. 3 slays each.
Let's go to the wheel, baby.
Sean, why would you vote Digimon?
Let's go.
Because my name that I turned in for this sheet was I will sacrifice Digimon for the sake of content.
Sean, why would you do this?
I like it. I enjoy it. I understand that having it here probably isn't the best for our future content.
I just want to say I thought really long and hard about just voting Digimon in this very case, but at the same time also voted Build a Because I'm like, this is the most likely wheel option.
So I'm not gonna lie, I entirely voted Digimon only because
The potential of the wheel.
You won
because of the wheel.
Yeah.
We like chaos in this
I voted
family.
Digimon also potentially because I figured if I vote Digimon, I know Michael won't, and if I vote Build Divide, I know Mason won't, so I could get them both to 3 for the
That's what I
wheel.
was thinking too. And you're
See,
like,
Sean
how is
essentially decided the wheel.
Sean's like, how is Dodge gonna vote? I'm putting my money that he's gonna vote on both. Me and
Mason,
Sean shared the wavelength here.
Mason, you are the winner of the previous season. Would you like to do the wheel?
I will do the wheel.
He's got
You
so
don't
much-
have to ask me twice.
You're putting so much power in his hands now, Sean.
Oh, I want to go to. Yeah, this is.
Okay, but you have to pick a different wheel slate than me or Sean. 'Cause I use wheel of names, and Sean uses a different one.
So, build, divide.
For those of you who don't know how this works, we're going to put the 2 shows on the wheel, then we're going to spin the wheel, and the show that it lands on is the show that gets slayed.
Bye-bye.
This has never backfired before.
Quite literally never.
No,
Not in my time here, at least.
We're not talking about... Oh, actually, that didn't even go to the wheel. I can't be salty about that one. That didn't go to the wheel.
All right. Are we ready?
I don't like this new Discord function where I can see the webcams in the top left.
Are you streaming?
It's funny.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Why don't I? There it is. I want these. Nope. There we go. That's what I wanted. Let me just.
Let me know when I'm ready.
You are good to go.
All right. 3, 2.
Wait. What's the roll? What's the roll? What's the roll? Last one alive
the ones
stays?
yeah, the last one on live stays. The one it lands on goes. That's how it's always been
Okay.
for the wheel.
Yeah.
Perfect. I was making sure.
All right.
Gotta establish it for the audience. It's a new season. You never
That's
know
what
who's
he
tuning in.
I said
He
it.
did establish it, actually.
Okay, yeah, but I forget things, and I was looking at my list, and I was trying to figure stuff out.
He
and I'm
established it
hungry.
literally 30 seconds ago.
Look, man, I'm hungry, and I need to start some water so I can make some noodles.
I'm just starting it because I know if I don't now.
Open close. Oh, no more content.
You got one more week. You got one more week to deal with it. Because it's very unlikely that it's not going.
I'm salty.
I
from
mean,
what we talked about
Orig ends
right
up on
now.
the wheel next week, Sean. It's
I will
gonna
be-
be the biggest wheel winner.
I
ever.
will be impressed.
If Build Divide or if Digimon survives another week.
Yeah, I really will.
The only way I see that is again if it ends up on the wheel again.
I am okay with this because this means, baby, I am 2 for 2 for wheel. First eliminations. No one is stronger than me at getting my own show voted out on the wheel.
Yeah, Sean always is on
2
the
seasons
wheel.
in a row.
I'm just saying,
Wait, but wasn't
Mike
last
were
season
undefeated
your
players.
show for both of the things on the wheel?
Doesn't change the
Yeah.
fact that I'm 2 for
Wasn't
2,
Peach
baby.
Boy also? Wasn't it Peach Boy
And
and
Battle Game? Absolutely.
Battle Game.
Did I vote both those shows? Absolutely.
A new rule for Sean: no more picking things that are games for his shows.
Hey,
That's 2 seasons in a row has gone off first.
I enjoy Build Divide. I might keep watching it. There's a
I'll probably keep watching Build Divide if I'm not gonna lie.
It's a small
I,
chance that.
uh,
Oh, I know you won't.
The only way I will is if Sean puts it on the TV and I am in the vicinity.
Sean,
I
let
am
me know
not
when
going
you're
on my way to
watching it.
Yo,
continue
we can
this
watch
show.
for sure. Not
I'm
tonight.
down.
Not
Well, no,
tonight.
I have work in less than 6 hours. I have inventory tomorrow.
I want to say thank you, everybody who's still in chat. Jesus Christ.
Yeah, we actually got like
It's a
some
long
people
night.
in chat.
Good
today. They be
news.
popping.
Good
This is a long
news.
one.
Episodes will never be this long again.
And we just start super
Mhm.
late because some of us
I mean,
didn't finish
Except
all the
for
shows.
winter.
I mean, unless we get the Sunny Boy treatment this season.
Yeah, I mean, we'll see how deep we dive in. We like talking about these shows. That's gonna be the problem this season. Is we like these
Yeah, we
shows,
like
and if we
to-
want to
yeah,
actually
we-
talk about them,
Okay, the benefit of a lot of these shows though is like you look at Senpai is cute or Senpai is always
Yeah.
annoying, and all you're gonna say every week is, yeah, this show's really cute. I like
It's
this
just
show.
really cute.
might highlight
I like
a thing or two.
I like when they did X thing or Y thing.
Yeah.
I like this character doing Z thing. Yeah, me too. All right, ready to move on? Yeah, we're ready to move on. Let's
So
vote.
goodbye to Build Divide.
Peace, Build Divide.
No more bread.
I just like how we get to end on like a nice wholesome note every episode with
Yeah.
Senpai for at least a good
We get
like
to
6 or
start.
7
We
weeks.
start with Blue Period, end with Senpai. It's real good balance.
I shouldn't.
This
have named
season's
Build
gonna
Divide, kept
hurt,
Red
dude.
Divide on
This
my
season's
thing.
gonna hurt. There's like 7 shows that are gonna make me cry this season.
And I
Yes, same.
am on board and ready for it.
Like, let's see, Blue Period, like shows I think have the potential to make you cry. Blue Period, Tact. I don't think Komi's gonna do it this season. Ranking, Paladin, Irina, and
Sakugan.
and Senpai.
You don't think Sakugan's gonna make
Did I
you
not
cry?
did I say Paladin or Sakugan?
He did not say Sakugan.
Blue Period, Sakugan.
I don't know.
Ranking, Paladin, Irina, Sakugan.
Yeah.
I might not have said, I might have cut out. And then like Senpai. There's like 7 shows I think that could just make me cry. And that's not including Komi, which is technically the slice of life one.
I think Digimon's gonna make me cry.
True. When it dies, I'm gonna cry.
I'm gonna cry if it lives another week. That's what I'm gonna do.
Paladin's,
it gets late, I'm
Paladin's
crying.
already made me cry, but not because of the show. Fucking god, and my any list.
Shut up. Shut up.
Well,
I checked it too.
everybody, have a great night. Thank you for joining us. We will see you
Peace.
next time. We probably won't be live Saturday or Sunday next week due to Youmacon. We'll probably be live like a Monday, Tuesday. We'll see. We're gonna make next week work. We'll have a day next week where we go. If we are live Saturday or Sunday, it might be because we managed to squeeze in something, and it might be a special episode. But we shall see.
Yeah. It'll be real fun if we are live on either of those days.
Oh,
Or
absolutely.
we get a double elimination week. Huh?
Have
Huh?
Oh, good. You want to watch an additional 2 episodes of Digimon? Wow, I can't believe you turned around on it.
Fuck, that's a good point.
Have
Alright.
a good night, everybody.
Okay.